That's the camera you look at when you talk.
Okay.
They didn't tell you.
Honestly, I wouldn't focus on any of the cameras.
I do.
They have me
Just
looking
out here like
crazy.
this.
Just like
Are live.
We are live. On mute us when the video starts. I did realize I gave some echo.
Salute you, man.
March 1970, two attorneys file a lawsuit in U.S. federal court on behalf of Norma McCorvey, a Texas resident who wanted to terminate her pregnancy. The filing, Jane Roe versus Wade, argued that Texas's abortion statutes were unconstitutional and violated McCorvey's privacy under 5 constitutional amendments. In January 1973, a 7-2 Supreme Court decision in favor of Jane Roe rules that the Constitution protects the right to an abortion. The all-male justices found abortion was a fundamental right for a woman's life and future, writing that Texas had violated the rights of Jane Roe with an abortion ban that prevented her from having one. January 1974, on the first anniversary of Roe, anti-abortion rights activists gather in Washington, D.C. for the first March for Life rally to lobby Congress to change the law. September 1976, the Hyde Amendment, a restrictive measure prohibiting government funds to be spent on abortions, except in the case of rape, incest, or a threat to the life of the woman, is passed. June 1986, Missouri's governor signs into law a number of restrictions on abortion. Several of them were subject to court battles. 1988 and 1989, lawmakers in Pennsylvania amend the state's Abortion Control Act of 1982, adding 5 provisions, including informed consent before an abortion, a 24-hour waiting period, consent of one parent for a minor to have the procedure, and a husband notification requirement for married women. It was challenged by abortion clinics and physicians as unconstitutional. July 1989. The Supreme Court's ruling in Webster versus Reproductive Health Services upholds the law that the state of Missouri enacted, barring public employees and public facilities from being used to assist or perform abortions unless it's necessary to save the life of the woman. June 1992, Planned Parenthood of Southeastern Pennsylvania terminate her pregnancy. Government funds to be spent on abortions, except in the case of rape, incest, or a threat to the life of the woman, is passed. June 1986, Missouri's governor signs into law a number of restrictions on abortion. Several of them were subject to court battles. 1988 and 1989, lawmakers in Pennsylvania amend the state's Abortion Control Act of 1982, adding 5 provisions, including informed consent before an abortion, a 24-hour waiting period, consent of one parent for a minor to have the procedure, and a husband notification requirement for married women. It was challenged by abortion clinics and physicians as unconstitutional. July 1989. The Supreme Court's ruling in Webster versus Reproductive Health Services upholds the law that the state of Missouri enacted, barring public employees and public facilities from being used to assist or perform abortions unless it's necessary to save the life of the woman. June 1992, Planned Parenthood of Southeastern Pennsylvania versus Casey. The Supreme Court's 5-4 decision upholds the provisions requiring informed consent before an abortion, a 24-hour waiting period before a procedure, and consent of one parent for a minor to obtain an abortion. The court did invalidate that husband notification requirement. November 2003, President George W. Bush signs into law the Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act, prohibiting doctors from performing late-term abortions. The law is challenged and blocked by federal courts in California, Nebraska, and New York. In April 2007, the Supreme Court upholds the federal ban on late-term abortions, ruling 5-4 in the Gonzalez versus Carhart case, finding that it was not unconstitutionally vague and did not impose an undue burden on the right to an abortion. July 2013, Texas lawmakers enact House Bill 2 with provisions requiring doctors performing abortions to have hospital admitting privileges no more than 30 miles from the abortion facility. and the facility must meet the minimum standards of an ambulatory surgical center under state law. Abortion providers in Texas challenged the requirements, arguing that they violate the 14th Amendment under Casey. This challenge ultimately ends up before the Supreme Court. June 2014. Louisiana's governor signs Act 620, a law nearly similar to Texas's admitting privileges law. Again, the law is challenged by abortion clinics and providers. June 2016, the Texas admitting privileges and surgical center requirements law is struck down by the Supreme Court in a 5-3 ruling. June 2020, the Supreme Court rules 5-4 in the June Medical Services versus Russo case to invalidate Louisiana's admitting privileges law, citing the court's 2016 Texas decision. May 2021, the High Court agreed to hear Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization case, the Mississippi law that bars abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Later, Mississippi state officials would ask the Supreme Court to overturn Roe and Casey. September 2021, Texas enacts Senate Bill 8, or the Heartbeat Act, the first time a state successfully imposed a 6-week abortion ban since Roe v. Wade. The act also gave members of the public versus state officials the right to sue anyone who performs or helps facilitate an illegal abortion. The Department of Justice challenges SB 8, and in December, the Supreme Court ruled to keep Texas's ban on most abortions in place, limiting who can sue state officials. May 2nd, 2022, a 98-page draft opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito in the Mississippi abortion case is leaked. Justice Alito wrote in his draft that Roe was, quote, egregiously wrong from the start and must be overruled.
All right, unmute it. Y'all good.
Hello, hello, hello. Now that Brian has been put to sleep by the timeline
Oh,
of
snap.
Roe v.
Are we
Wade.
live? Are we live?
Yes, we are
Man.
live.
Did y'all get educated?
Did you learn something?
Did y'all get educated?
Did you learn something?
I didn't learn a damn thing. I fell asleep.
Anyway, welcome to the In the Zone podcast. It's your girl Shontelle with Sleepy Smurf over here, Brian Foster.
What's going on, y'all? Be false in the building. I don't have high energy now.
Between these two, we'll wake
I
up.
felt like I was in science history class in 5th grade.
Good, you learned something.
You know how they turn all the lights down and shut the blinds? That's how I felt like this is all blind.
Now you gotta fill out your mimeograph paper.
Look, I'm glad I'm sitting next to you. I'm gonna cheat off you like I did in grammar school.
Well, I realized some of you guys were here, may have been a little shocked that the video was about Roe v. Wade, and were expecting to try to sell me off to some unsuspecting man and or woman, but unfortunately the Supreme Court decided to do something so egregious that we just could not talk about it.
Facts.
So we are going to start with Roe v. Wade. But
Actually, that's not what we're going to start
I was going to say, I know Brian wants to start with some other fuck shit before we actually get to Roe v. Wade.
Y'all know I'm the fuck shit guy. So, I mean, we only on once a week, so we got to touch on things sometimes later than we'd like, but we got to touch on the hot topics you all been talking about. And obviously, everybody and their mama been arguing about the man that brought his son to McDonald's and didn't bring his
I've been going back and forth on
no, they're not even the stepkids. His son's siblings food.
Leslie, you see this video?
Have you seen this video?
I haven't seen it either.
Have you seen the discussion around it?
I don't follow a lot of fuck shit.
Okay.
I
let me be your fuck shit guy.
Maybe we should do a real quick intro before we bring in our guest.
Let me bring up. Yes, do it.
All right. So first, we'll start with somebody I know the audience have seen many, many times because he's right before our show with the Kris the Critic Show with Gina. We have Kris.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate being back on this show.
We love having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's very professional.
I know. It was almost too professional.
After you watched the video right there, I felt we needed to change.
And we do have a first-timer whose virginity we are about to pop on this show.
Ooh, that's
real rough.
She don't get pregnant.
It's real rough.
Well, she can't right now because it's like Roe v. Wade.
I mean, she could. I just don't know what her choices would be.
You gonna keep it. That's the right thing to do is keep it.
But this is my homegirl. I have known her since we grew up on the block at 5 years old. Miss Leslie Russell. Hey.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Looking forward to the fuck shit.
Well, let me lead you into it real fast. Open the fuck shit door.
Thank you.
Fuck shit king.
I am that. we're not gonna dwell on this. We're gonna touch on it real quick.
We'll see how much we dwell.
Quick round robin. So there was a video that's been circulating. A young black man brings his young black baby mama.
Okay.
So I'm just letting you know it's not
Baby mama of 4.
Not his 4 though. She has one of his. She has his kid. She has 3 others.
Are they together?
They are not together apparently. So I guess she's her, as she vehemently explains, her food stamps don't come up for another couple of days. So she's asked him to help out with food for her son.
Okay.
Now, problematic one, he's bringing to McDonald's every day, but we're not even going to touch upon the nutritional aspects. That's not the point of the video.
Grocery store.
I feel like that's the topic.
That's not the topic. The topic is he brought food for his son and not for the other 3. And she kind of lost it on him about it.
That was an asshole move.
So you think
all the kids gotta eat?
All his kids that aren't his?
All the kids
I
gotta eat.
said that the first time. And if he had it, but what if he really
could've
didn't have it either?
brought
What
a
if, he had,
20-piece.
what if he has 3 more kids and that's what he had? What if he couldn't afford it? Because the kid, as the producer informed me, called him. Said, Daddy, I'm hungry. So I don't know that man, because the girl said, I only give my food stamps on the 11th.
I didn't see this video. So
I saw the whole video. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. So I'm thinking.
Why are we laughing at these poor people being?
That's what I'm saying. I was thinking in terms of an elitist person saying,
Did you see
"Hey, I could just easily afford.
No, I did not see this
I
video.
could easily afford to give everybody McDonald's for a week and not think about it, right? But I didn't put myself in that man's position. His son calls him. He might be in the same situation that woman is in. He might have other mouths to feed. But the way she berated him made you be unsympathetic towards her almost.
She went hard at him.
She went
and then threw the
nuts.
food on the ground.
He was like, look, I get
That's
it.
not smart.
The kids was hungry.
Exactly
That's
my
not
point.
intelligent.
Exactly my point.
I know.
I have 4 kids. They all got the same daddy. So I don't. That's
If
not
they
my
did,
situation.
this is a non-judgmental show.
But
No, it's a little judgmental.
I was
Yes,
very
a
judgmental.
lot.
I think it's judgmental as hell. So I just wanted to put that out
She's
there.
new.
Very judgmental.
All my kids by the same man.
Allegedly.
Bitch.
What's
It's my first time.
You didn't know you were coming for fuck shit, right?
He's a guest. So
Okay, but do you want to fight though?
Yeah,
Damn, I thought this was.
It'll be the first time.
Peace.
My
Just-
wife's in
just-
another room. They're late.
Where your mistress at?
We never.
There we go.
Where your
This is what
girlfriend?
you tuned in for, people.
Okay, where
This
your
is what
baby
you
mama
tuned
at?
in for.
Who you bringing McDonald's to one kid and not the rest? Was
Hold
you in
on.
the video?
My wife will look. My wife will attest. If I had any of those things, I would take them all food.
So
But this is me.
All right.
Go ahead.
If you gonna bring something to a kid with siblings,
Right.
and it's something small, bring something for everybody.
It's small.
Or go get your kid and take them to
Now,
McDonald's.
I think that's the point right there.
Go get your child, take your child, and do what y'all gonna do.
Dude said
and
he
bring it
could
back
eat it
later.
in the car.
Yeah, but I think the point.
Yeah, but it was introducing it in front of the other kids.
Well,
He could have just went and took his kid
with
and
the other
discreetly
kids,
took
the
him
other
away.
kids didn't see it.
Oh.
The woman stopped him at the door. He didn't get inside.
Let's just say it for what it is.
But he brought apparently.
She hate her life for what it is.
Whoa!
We gonna stick to the topic
She
at
can't
hand.
get no other baby daddy to throw in on some
I mean, that's
McDonald's.
part of it. Facts.
It
How
is
do you
what
feel?
it is.
You know what the topic is. Should he have brought now? One time, sure.
Okay.
Maybe once, 2 or 3 times. Is the expectation that every time I come over here with
Goddamn
something for
right.
my son, I got to give it to the other 3
She
as
wants
well?
blood from that man.
Well, I guess I don't understand,
She wants blood from him.
and maybe because of the co-parenting situation I'm in. Like, if I'm at home and Ron, shout out to Ron Taylor, in the comments. If he brings Sally something, he bringing everybody in the house something, and vice versa. So I guess I don't, and maybe because I'm not on welfare, maybe
That's my point.
perspective is a little skewed.
That
But
man
if
had
I'm
no
bringing my kids something, I'm bringing all the children something,
Okay.
regardless of whether they
You're-
came from me or
You're
not.
in a
Or
position
go
to
get
do
your
that.
kid
That's
and
what I
take
said.
your kid away
Or
to do whatever
you
y'all
guys
want
wanna
to
do.
I don't even know if I
But
would
his
do that
kid
because I
called him
think
in this one. The kid
I
called
did.
him.
I mean,
Said,
go pick
because
him
my
up.
kid called me and said, Daddy, I'm hungry. I'm going with food. You see what I'm saying? and I don't know that man's financial situation. We all sit here saying he should have done this.
I'm not saying he should have done anything.
It's
You
not-
just asked me what I would have done. I would have brought all the children.
I would have too.
Because I just.
But
I wouldn't want to see none of the kids. Because if he's hungry, they all got to be hungry. It's
you're not obligated to take care of kids who aren't yours, but it's
I don't think you should have 4 kids if you can't afford McDonald's.
Jesus
Factor.
Christ.
You sound
but they
like-
here now. But they here now. You can't take them back.
With some bread.
Somebody,
Agreed.
And they could have, if he
I
was
think that's
hungry
where you
and you
would've
know the
gone to McDonald's and
situation.
she would've grabbed
yeah, bring me some money so I can get this food. Oh, I bring the food.
But go
I
to the
wanted
grocery
money!
store. Why
But
are y'all
But
at
now
McDonald's
we
to the grocery
speculating.
store?
We don't know what
No.
she wanted, but the kid asked for food.
Don't we speculate on men all the time?
That's the so.
So we
So you're speculating on
I'm
her?
speculating. I'm saying I'm
Oh
speculating.
my
She's
God, we
trifling
done
as
made her a
hell.
gold digger. And
Here's where I
That
think all of
sound
you.
like some the He-Man woman hating
The
club.
He-Man.
Manosphere? Yes.
That's what y'all
It's an
in.
No,
observation.
anytime.
What's the Little Rascals?
Little rascals. Anytime we
You
make an
short, too.
observation about what.
If 2 women make an observation,
You fit right in. Slow door to the clubhouse.
if
The
2
He-Man
Hey,
woman
fuck this
hating
Roe
club.
versus Wade conversation. I think we just gonna let you two go.
if 2 women make a
Don't try to
comment,
change the subject, Little
it is,
Rascal.
if 2 women
What's
making
the
a
boy's
subject, ain't
name?
nothing little on me,
Alfalfa?
and you don't, ain't no little on
What's
me,
the
and you
black
don't know
one's
nobody
name?
else to say it.
What's the black rascal? Buckwheat.
Buckwheat.
If 2 women,
Orte.
nobody, you need more people for that. Ain't nobody believing that. if you
Just
if you
ignore
got
me.
2 women,
Like I'm not.
if you
I
got
didn't
2
just
women,
call it
Welcome to
two
Kris the
women.
Critic.
if you have 2 women who are arguing with each other,
Okay.
they will say the nastiest stuff under the sun. Take any of those women, place her in an argument with a man, the women say, can't be her fault, it's all his fault. It's just an observation. He might be wrong all the time. But I notice y'all have a hard time looking in the mirror or saying that other women do dumb shit. I can honestly say men do a bunch of shit, present company included. Women don't have that in them.
Are you on the same social media I am? Because I hear us talking shit about each other all day,
the
every
time.
day. What Facebook are you on?
Here's where I push back on what you said though. If
That
we
he's
would
not
say,
short. You think he's
well,
tall?
he is short. That's not.
Oh, okay.
If we had,
We agree on something.
me too. So
What is going on here?
So if you all were having a conversation, when y'all were having a conversation about a man, I never tell women this kind of, y'all just hate men. I don't say that shit. Anytime a man has any criticism for a woman, it comes, you just hate women. I love women.
Because
Y'all be fucking up sometimes, though.
criticism
They don't see
comes
that.
from a place of misogyny.
No,
You're-
the
now,
criticism.
if you criticized her for going off on him in front of the kid, criticize her for that.
I'm criticizing her for going off.
If
Period.
you criticize her for expecting him to take care of kids that aren't his, that's fair criticism.
That's what I'm critiquing.
But to
I'm not even
criticize
criticizing.
her
She's just
for
ratchet
having
as fuck.
kids that she doesn't have food
well.
Which somebody
for,
did bring up.
Well,
that is
And for being a gold
classic
digger,
misogyny.
which we did
Well,
not
it's
bring.
classic stupid.
because it is to
On her
say
part.
that the
How?
responsibility for children is a woman's, and the idea that the responsibility for the care of children is a woman, that's
I'm saying
rooted
her-
in that stay in
Would
the
it sound better if I
kitchen,
said her
barefoot,
and all the baby
and
daddies?
pregnant.
Her and all the baby daddies are on fuck shit. All 4 of them.
We don't know any of these people. You
But they're on
have,
fuck shit if your kids can't eat.
It would sound better if
we
you
don't
took.
know.
We
If
don't
you,
know that.
it would sound
We
better
don't know
if you used the lens of systemic oppression and you understood that people are poor because the 1% are too rich.
Poor doesn't give you a reason to talk to people like that.
But
Black
poor-
people always
See the
were poor.
You missing the whole point.
Nope.
Because
That's all.
poor does a lot of things to people that you admitted yourself
I agree to
you
that.
you don't do
No, I
because
agree-
you're
I
not
agree
in
with
that
that. I agree
situation.
with that.
So if you are sitting there, you got 4 kids who are hungry,
Right.
and only one of them got food, and you see somebody who might be able to do something to alleviate the situation, and you do, when you're hurting for hungry kids, then you say and do shit that might be out of character or
I agree.
unreasonable.
and you
agree,
may be
Leslie.
hungry for yourself. I mean,
But-
if the kids are hungry, the
Les-
likelihood that she's also hungry is very
you don't throw the food on the
Leslie,
ground.
Leslie.
Yeah.
fair.
You don't throw the food
Leslie.
on the ground. I'm telling you right now, when
Now,
that Fanta hit,
that's out of control. Because
when
if
the
the kids
Fanta
was
hit the
hungry,
sidewalk,
give them the
my
goddamn
heart
food.
bled a little bit. That
Hey,
Fanta was
Boss,
cold and
Boss,
frosty.
that's my whole thing, Leslie. All due
Yes.
respect, I agree with 88% of what you said.
88.
Just
Oh, very
12
specific.
The other 12%, you didn't even see the fucking video yet. You talking what you know about it. At least watch the video before you
gave me
did.
the summation. What am I missing?
If you saw how ignorant that chick was, The other 12%, I agree 88%.
I mean, she shouldn't have gone off. She shouldn't have
I'm
thrown
saying-
the food. If the point is the kid is hungry, let him eat the food. And deal with your adult breakdown
She
in
didn't let
another
anybody
manner.
Another way. Chop that burger up into fours and split the
If you
fries
really
up
got that problem,
Okay.
then absolutely.
You don't throw the shit on
But
the
what
ground.
did she do?
But here's okay.
That's fuck shit.
But
That's
I think,
that Saturday Night Live.
that's
I
crazy.
threw it on the ground.
Damn, girl. But
Because of systemic,
no, that's a good.
oppression,
That's a good
she
transition.
was
though.
justified throwing that food
that's-
on the ground.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get off that.
I
That
didn't
was
say
just
that.
really no.
Sound like what you
Let's
said.
go get
Let's,
back in your
let's
clubhouse.
transition.
Sounds
Let's transition because I think what Leah said is a great transition to the real topic.
What is that?
So, and actually, Kris, what you said as well. We've Roe versus Wade. I'm gonna let you all dive into this a little bit. I'm not even gonna set the stage this way. I'm gonna let you all just go for what you know. It's obviously been dictated now that states have the right to pick whether or not this is a legal procedure anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Many states have already claimed that it will not be. Right. So now there's a whole. Obviously, this is a raging debate that's been going on for a long time.
Right.
I'm gonna let Sean lead us in with a couple of questions that I can already see will.
I didn't even say anything.
No, I said you got the questions.
You got a 35 question list.
Yeah, well, I said you got the
I
questions.
don't. I have a 7 question list.
Well,
Well, the first question was, and I know these people well enough to know that only 2 of these people will be answering the question, but your own personal abortion story. Do you have one? Do you know somebody who went through one that maybe you supported them through? Maybe we should talk about it from a more introspective position. I ain't gonna start with Kris because I already know it's going. Leslie?
I don't have a story to share.
Okay.
But I think at the end of the day, like the sharing of the story or the getting of an abortion, that's a woman's right to choose. Because when the kids are hungry, then it's up to her to figure out how she gonna feed them. Then it's up to her to figure out if she want to have them.
That's fair. I'll start then. I do have an abortion story for myself. I had mine when I was either 19 to 20. My boyfriend was in college. I had failed out of college, so I was not doing a whole lot with myself, and I found myself in that situation. So him and I discussed it. We decided that was the better option. And honestly, he was really great during it. And that's not to like pat him on the back, because quite frankly, I'm a big believer that you don't get a cookie for doing what the fuck you're supposed to do. But he was there. He sat there while I had my procedure. He drove me home afterwards. He took care of me afterwards. And while I felt a lot of guilt about it immediately afterwards, I realize now that was the best decision for both of us. Like, I don't know what our life would have been had I moved forward with that decision of having that baby. That would have completely disrupted his college life. That would have tailspin me into, I don't know what kind of economic position I would have been in. I definitely would have been poor because I had no education. I had no job. But that was, looking back at it, that was absolutely the best decision that could have been made at that time. And him and I both benefited from that. He's now a senior XYZ at some company. I do what I do. We all make good salaries, and we've been able to advance in our careers and in our education because of the decision we both made at that time.
But here's the thing I want to say about your question, which is, if men are going to have a hand in deciding whether abortion care is legal, then they should have abortion stories too.
They all do. Here's
like,
the thing.
it should be a story that Brian and Kris could tell. We should be looking at them.
I don't know if they both. Well, I do know which
but
one
I'm
went
saying
through it.
we
But
should be looking at them to answer questions the same way that women are looked to answer questions, because evidently their opinions count.
Well, I'm more than happy to share my story.
Go
Yeah, well,
for
I know I'm an open book on this joint. So I have been through this on more than one occasion.
oh shit.
With this is my mama calling me right now, say, "Don't tell these stories."
If your mama on here, what's your mama name?
I'm looking in the comments.
She straight calling. No,
Me going to bar and have shit to do with shit. God damn it! I will find a way to bring that fucking high school up. I promise.
I wasn't even gonna do it this time. But so yeah, I've been in this position a time or three, and each time was rough. And every decision I've made since those decisions, with my 4 children, have had that somewhat at the center of how I move and how I moved going forward and how I was safer with my choices and who I decided to lay down with, knowing that even with a condom, even on the pill, even with this, that, and the other, there's always a percentage chance that that person could become pregnant. Mm-hmm. And could I move forward in life with this person, even if we weren't together, as a co-parent? And that knocked a lot of people out of the box before I laid it down. I'm not even going for it. And I wish more men and women would have that in the forethought of their mind when they're making these decisions. Our loins lead us into some terrible, terrible positions. But having gone through those experiences has, I won't say 100%, had 100% shifted my course of action. But it definitely changed my mindset, not only on how I move, but how who I chose to be with and how that potentially could affect them. Because I saw a couple of different women go through this thing, and I know one for sure has never really recovered from it.
Say more.
I got you.
We're still cool. She's never gotten married, really hasn't had a bunch of relationships since then, hasn't had any kids, and anytime we talk and this comes up, she references it as, I never really got past that. It just emotionally affected me in such a way that I still feel bad about me, and I can't then feel great about anybody else. Mm-hmm. And having heard that from her, it just, one, breaks my heart. Two, kind of, sort of, part of me, part of me regrets the decision. Because at the end of the day, I think I would have been straight. I would have figured it out. But in the moment, being young, I thought that was what was best, so that's what we went with.
And I will add this, and I think you would add this to your story, right? You're never the same after you go through that. I never thought about it from his position, how it impacted him, so thank you for sharing that. But I definitely was not the same person walking out of that facility once that happened. Now, I'm not saying I all of a sudden became mature and a an upstanding citizen. I did not.
Clearly, because I kept fucking up.
But, there's I hate hearing the comments about how women use it as birth control.
Yeah.
And, okay, see, well, I'm glad I brought
but
that up.
That's their business.
But here's the thing.
It is.
The number of women, let's just say there are women who do. The number of women who do it is such a small percentage that it's not, that's no woman, as somebody who went through it with other people and saw them go through it, there are very few women who are utilizing that as birth control. It's a fraction of a percent. I guarantee you.
If you feel that's true,
it's not a feeling.
It's not a feeling. It's a fact.
Well, relax.
Let them get it out.
If y'all just want to talk louder than me and you think it make you right, go ahead. I'll wait.
We can do it. We did this before on another show. We can do it again.
That's cool. So I'm going to tell you now. Let's say you're saying what you're right. But I will say, first off, I'm against the decision. I hate the decision that they made. I do think people should be able to make their own choices. Let's just put that out there, because I think it leads to other things in government. So I'm against the decision that those folks made, right? I'm against it. However, I think that we, especially black folks, disproportionately have a lot of abortions. And because I am a believer in a higher power, I believe that once there's conception, life begins. But that's me. I recognize other people think different things. And I think I funded an abortion, at least I was told. I don't know if they was just trying to get some paper from me, but I'd like to believe they were telling the truth, right? I felt like that at that age because it was for selfish reasons. My life, if it was meant to be good and I worked hard, I'll make an excuse for myself saying I wouldn't have graduated college or whatever. Because I have a buddy. Grew up, Roseland, Pullman area, single mom, had a daughter at 14. Begged and pleaded his mother for an abortion. She said, no, we don't do that. He graduated from U of I. He's one of the most successful people I know. That girl is married, with kids, owns her own real estate property. We don't know how that human is going to turn out. What we do know is it inconvenienced us. Period. Now, I know a lot of us have been through it, had it. We feel guilty about it, so we're going to justify it. But it's wrong. And I think it's disproportionately hurt our community. I think it has made us, man, I can have more premarital sex because I can do that. I take a pill, I have a kid. Yeah, I'm not still your decision. I'm not ever trying to take nobody's decision away. But I think it's the wrong thing to do. And I think there are a lot of wannabe success stories that were snuffed out because somebody said I didn't want to interrupt my life. And the truth is, as I look around, motherfuckers ain't living that live anyway. You should have had that fucking kid because you still fucked up. You got 3 more. And usually, you can look at somebody living like the girl in the McDonald's video.
You got 15 more seconds.
She had abortions already and she had abortions and in the same situation.
Let me ask you this, Kris. I want.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no.
Go ahead.
No. I want to.
I definitely had some comments.
I want to slide back to something he said in the beginning. So it sounds like, clarify. I just want to say if I'm wrong. It sounds like you're less against what the actual decision was in this case, and more about the slippery slope it leads in other areas. Is that what I'm hearing? Like, if there was no other ramifications
I don't believe you
politically,
can police people's morals, even if they differ from my beliefs.
Okay.
I just see the negative effects it has had, and we don't even see it. They didn't do this for women's health or women's rights. They did it for women's votes. The woman who started the shit was all about eugenics and didn't like black people. But she tell us anything that and I vote Democrat for 2 reasons. Health care for all, and hopefully education. And one day reparations. But all that other shit, all that anti-Bible shit, I just don't roll with. Not because I'm a religious zealot, it's because I see what it does to the poor and disenfranchised. We're always going to disproportionately be shitted on because of those decisions. We have a disproportionate amount of abortions. They place all the Planned Parenthoods in our communities.
That's inaccurate.
That's not.
All the Planned Parenthoods in Chicago and white neighborhoods.
I didn't know.
I mean, we got to stop it.
Hold on. They're white neighborhoods now.
They were
when
white
they were
neighborhoods
placed there,
then.
they weren't.
They were white neighborhoods. The one on Clark and North Avenue, it has always been white.
Do you disagree that we disproportionately have?
No, 60% of the abortions that are had are by white women.
That's not what I said.
But you said disproportionately. I don't know how it's disproportionate.
I'll explain
60% of
explain what
people
disproportionate means, Leslie.
I understand what disproportionate means.
Doesn't sound like it.
But what is the what
percentage
of abortions do black people have?
It's gonna be here in 30 seconds.
You're wrong about what you're saying.
No, I'm not. I'm very accurate.
I would push back on this, Kris. I would say that the reason they passed this.
I'll look it up.
The reason they passed this was not about us. It was about them.
Right.
It was about them. They were about to be the minority.
I wish we thought about ourselves the same way.
I'm just saying. They were about to be the minority, and they wanted to eliminate because disproportionately white women actually have abortions.
I've never met a generation of black folks who was so content on getting rid of a human life that I have right now. Because you know why?
When else have you lived?
And how many people are we talking about here? Because
were you in around in the 50s? How long you been alive?
I can tell you that all y'all grandmamas thought differently than what y'all think now.
Kris, that's inaccurate. There were abortions happening in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 40s, in the 30s,
in the
1870s.
1870s.
That doesn't disprove what I said.
1770s.
Yeah, but what you're saying is abortion is a magical phenomenon.
I'm saying that more black people live more, have that baby, send that kid to live with somebody else, and then you do whatever you gonna send you away. Have the kid.
Everybody doesn't have that option.
But we're not killing a human life. Now, if that is not a value to you, I respect it. I disagree.
That's disrespectful. Number one, that perspective,
you're killing humans.
You're killing an embryo is what you're killing. An
embryo that has no brain. If that helps you sleep better at night, okay.
You're killing the potential of a human.
It's a human.
I'm going to shift gears.
A lot of people will even name that. And if I kicked you in the stomach when you happen to be pregnant, they're going to convict me of fucking murder. And if the kid died, because they know it's human life.
So I assume that women who miscarry should be convicted for manslaughter?
Depends how they do. If it happens naturally, it misses happen.
Wow, I'm going to change the subject before Kris gets fucking bopped in the face by me.
I got black people more concerned.
I'm going to change.
With killing other people than they are the success.
Wait, I want to talk about a hot second.
Okay,
wait. Kris is right. So I just looked it up.
I know I'm right.
CDC says
I don't say shit I don't know.
Although black Americans comprise this is from CNN, 13.4% of the U.S. population. They accounted for 36% of the abortions in 2015.
Okay.
Now, how many are black women disproportionately raped and molested?
Oh, do we have some statistics on that?
I'm gonna let you look that one up because that's a question I have.
In civilization, I can tell you, the poor and disenfranchised are disproportionately victims of those crimes. In the United States of America, that will probably be black and Hispanic women.
Okay, so then our black women disproportionately.
What does that have to do with the subject?
Because if they become pregnant due to those actions.
Okay, and?
If they're disproportionately linked to
Lord, wow, I'm not stepping on that landmark at all.
Did you tell me in your experience, and I appreciate you for sharing that, that it was traumatic?
I don't recall saying it was traumatic. What I said was I was not the same afterwards.
Do some people think it's traumatic?
Sure. Okay, well,
look, it's always more than just what the statistic is.
Under the jail, right?
Okay.
But it is a horrible, evil experience.
But these rape
victims does murdering the baby make the rape go away? If you tell me it does,
a baby and
it doesn't take the rape away
over and over again.
Like it don't make it go away. You still
can we take away the Jameson? This is crazy. I'm gonna need you to drink some water.
I don't care that you don't care about human life, and I do.
I need you to drink some water.
I need you to get a clue.
You tripping?
I need you to get a fucking clue.
Tripping.
I am completely changing this subject because
I don't care. I don't give a fuck.
Chris,
oh boy.
You just
on the fuck shit show. Hold on. Okay, I agree with everything you all say. I agree with everything you all say. Fuck the unborn human. They don't deserve a decision. Fuck the unborn human. That's what you want to do.
Look, here's what you need to do. Take the embryo out and you raise it.
That was the embryo.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
And when you drop them
let the embryo live outside the woman's body.
To the state.
You show me that embryo living outside that woman's body, and then we have something to talk about.
Chris, I'm going to say this one fucking time.
You're not going to point at me and say nothing.
You've been cursing and pointing and doing all this shit for everybody on this damn stage. What you're going to do is listen to other people's perspectives. Well, you don't have to be here.
That's the whole point.
That's the entire point of this. This is the entire point of you being here.
All right.
We wanted somebody with a different perspective.
Like
but what you're not going to do is overtalk people because they don't agree with you. That we're not going to do.
I'm going to say everything I say with a smile. I don't give a fuck.
But you're also going to pause and allow other people to have a different perspective. Is what you're going to do.
For the next 20 minutes. Give me 5 minutes whenever you want me to talk.
I'm changing the subject.
Subject changed.
So I fucking punch this nigga in the face. Alright. So what we gonna move on to?
Ain't nobody saying that happened.
Is yes.
Don't.
Are we doing this?
Look, yes, I got your back, okay?
We about to play a video because clearly Chris and I both need a big fat pause.
Play a video.
Let's see the white woman talk about white people.
Hey, get your ass up and switch these really
frightened.
And I'm not upset.
Offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are 3 things we can do to solve this. Number 1, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have. Now, white people are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are 3 things we can do to solve this. Number 1, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have. Now, white people are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are 3 things we can do to solve this. Number 1, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have. Now, white people are really frightened.
Read that shit twice.
Right.
Oh.
I can hear her.
Hey.
All right,
hey.
so.
Is our mic back on?
All right, so.
Hey, so first of all, let me tell you this. Chantel's fucking clip privileges are revoked. She
Fuck that,
no
your
more
guest
clips.
picking privileges are provoked.
I didn't. Wait, who picked Kris?
First of all, once her bucket came up in the comments, just FYI.
Who said what?
The last show where we had somebody that went
crazy?
came up on the comments.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I own that one.
Anyway, for the people in the room, because we were busy arguing and did not hear what Miss Jane, I forgot her last name, said.
Miss Daisy was saying something.
Jane Elliott.
Jane Elliott, the summation of what she said was that a lot of this conversation about abortion and making it illegal is so that there can be more white people. And she brought up a book where where a man talked about that the biggest concern for white people is that their numbers are not getting big enough. And they're going to be overran by the minorities by a certain date. Mm-hmm. And if they don't figure out a way to make white women have babies, they're going to be outran. And he had 3 positions. One was that they have to pay white women.
Where there is no ball.
They had to pay white women to have babies, but he understood that if they pay white women, they have to pay all women to have babies. So that wasn't going to work. I forgot what the second point was. And the third point was to make abortion illegal.
Hey, I also want to point something out really fast. In the end of zone show history, we had to change seats to keep the guests and the host away from each other.
Just saying, y'all like to bring up Bowen, that motherfucker will come out.
The guests are fine.
So
The guests are fine.
I don't know how fine the guests are, but here's the question.
Ask somebody.
Now that Miss Jane has set the stage for this, and I've heard a couple of male podcasters say this point, which makes me a little concerned. I don't know who I want to start with. Brian, is this a white woman's issue? Is it much to do about nothing, and really black people just need to be like, let the white people fight?
No, because it affects us.
How does it affect us?
It affects one, women's choice, right? So it affects black women's choices about their bodies and how they move forward. Folks in Kris's position, or his opinion, even though he agrees that they should,
we should all have the choice to do what we want.
The choice. Yeah. But now, they're saying that they have to have these children that they unlikely would have otherwise, which has ramifications, good, bad, or otherwise, right? A cascading effect. It affects black men because what we didn't talk about, what we never touched on in it's a question on here. The previous piece is twofold. Yeah. The black man that wants the kid and she doesn't, and he has zero say in that. And the black man that doesn't want the kid and she chose to have it. Now hopefully he's gonna take his care of his responsibility, even if that's just financially, even if the courts just make him, right? So we can't just say that this is only a white woman's problem. Okay. No, it affects us in a myriad of ways for generations. So it's everyone's I hate to even call it a problem. Everybody's discussion. Everybody's bale of hay to I hate it. You brought it up. I know, my bad. I hate that analogy. But it's everyone's issue to wrestle with. Okay. But it is for to make sure they stay in the fucking majority.
I have a slightly, not that I don't disagree that.
You think they want more of us on welfare and all that shit?
No, I'll get to my point when we go round robin. I'm gonna see if I can get Kris off his phone and see if he can chime into this comment.
I stay ready.
Okay, let's go. Is this a white woman's issue?
I think it's a population issue. I think it's everybody's issue.
Okay, he's fully engaged. Leslie, white woman's issue.
This is
Should
a
black
white man's
people?
issue. It's a white supremacy issue. The concern about black people and what we do is not registered at all in this
Could
conversation.
you highlight, Brian Gorman, could you highlight J. Law's last comment? And this is kind of what I'm speaking to. This is not a black issue.
No, this is an issue of white supremacy. This is an issue of white male control of the state and control of women and women's bodies, control of the economy. Because if you can force people to have kids they can't afford, can't take care of, don't want to have, then you can maintain a permanent underclass. Children are expensive. Mm-hmm. And so even if you wanted the baby, but it's a choice between taking care of the kids you already have and getting put over the line of poverty or deeper into poverty with the child you know you can't take care of, I mean, that's a way to maintain a permanent underclass. And if black and Latin people can be in a permanent underclass, somebody got to be on the permanent upper class, and white folks get to maintain their power. The purely population issue, I don't think is sufficient to explain the outcome, the decision, or this activism since the 70s to overturn Roe and then later Casey, because white people were the minority at many points previous in history. White people were the minority in South Carolina, even though they were the slaveholders over a large slaveholding population. And so they didn't need to be in the majority to maintain social control. They had other mechanisms for maintaining social control. So maybe the population of white people will increase because fewer abortions are had. I'm not sure that that's really what's going to happen. But the negative consequences for black and Latin, for, poor people of color in particular, when it comes to the financial implications of having kids they can't afford, that's a mechanism of social control that allows white people to maintain their power regardless of their population.
I 100% agree. So let me ask a question, clarify a question.
I agree with most stuff she says, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is why I have her here. She's genius.
Let me ask this question.
We don't.
Did you start with that it's not a black issue? I'm just making sure I heard you.
No.
I said it's a white supremacy issue. Now, black people need to grapple with how we make reproductive choices, how we construct families, how we care for and raise our children, how we steward our communities, how we maintain our institutions, what we prioritize in terms of our solidarity. But we've had this conversation about abortion before in the Black Power movement. When Black Panthers and others in the Black Power movement said black women shouldn't have abortions because they needed to have as many babies as possible to grow the population of black people. Again, that makes black women a permanent underclass who are poor, because not every black man who would have all those kids are going to be equally participatory in raising them. Yeah. So somebody got a nurse, somebody has to take care of the children, and that often, knocks women out of the workforce. That means that we don't get paid, so we don't have money. That means that our retirement accounts are lower. We end up working longer into our senior citizen years, if we can even live that long. And so it puts us at a serious disadvantage when it comes to building economic prosperity. And, we live in a capitalist society where having money and being able to earn and generate it is the cornerstone of having a strong community, unfortunately, in the way that society is constructed in the United States. So the simple solution of that's a human life, have every baby every time you get pregnant, that's not going to advance black people as an overly simplistic solution. Because what we're dealing with is a complex issue. So when it comes to a conversation about abortion care in general, of course that's a black issue. When it comes to this Dobbs decision in the Supreme Court, that's white people shit all day long.
Well,
Go ahead.
I honestly think, I thought we were 88% on the same page. I think we're 90%. We have, you and I have one small disconnect. I agree with everything you said. I believe women have, I believe people should have a choice, but I'm okay with the woman having a choice. I don't even care about that. I come from the standpoint of You mentioned the other side. I try not to mention the white folk when we on black shows, but we live in the same country. It is what it is. Things are intentionally crafted, and I'm a bigger believer in that. Everything you name about the hardships are true when there is not a black man and woman together. And they have been successful in dividing. There was a time where a black woman couldn't even get food stamps unless if there was a black man in the home, you can't get these benefits. The divide has been there, but their concern for their population numbers is real. It's the reason we struggle as much as we do. Our voting strength is less than what it is, and I will debate with you that our lives collectively aren't better or worse because of these millions of abortions that we've had. The black folks say, you can't vote this way. You even think about voting Republican. And I will say, I live in a black city with a black gay mayor, with a black police chief, Democratic, with a black Democratic, powerful black Democratic alderman, with a black state's attorney, and I will contend that life has gotten worse because we're following someone else's agenda. And that whole abortion agenda came about but they framed it as women's rights because they knew it would disproportionately affect us. The woman who was the biggest advocate, if you look up Margaret Sanger's interactions with the CIA, a white woman will grab your arm in a minute and say, come on, girl, let's work for these women's rights.
It's no
Let me
doubt.
finish.
Okay.
Your health, you're this. But let your black husband be choked out in the street. She is nowhere to be found. She would scream when you would work with her. I don't know where you work, but I would guess that your biggest adversary is the white women. They ignorant as fuck.
God damn.
them.
Tell us what they really think, Kris.
And I was pulling this up.
For all my black women watching, I apologize.
It's
Kris
not
the
just
Critic's
me. It's
views are not those of women.
No, seriously, the Sangers organization, and this is just an article, Then and Now, entrusted leaders convinced the black community that abortion as a form of birth control is not only acceptable, but beneficial to the African American community. They know it's detrimental to theirs, but we think it's a right. If they know, and they've been running it for years, that it's detrimental to their community, why are we so pro it? Because it gives us a right to be free, to fuck who we want and not have to deal with it. But the truth is, Jesse Jackson was born of a woman who was raped, and she decided, I value that life over the pain I had in rape. What if we didn't have him? What if we didn't have Eartha Kitt? Same situation. Nell Carter. I could go on. But instead, we say, so fuck my life up. It ain't that many black people out here changing the motherfucking world anyway. So whether it's you, maybe you can argue.
Let him finish.
Okay.
I'm saying it's intentional by them to want us to feel that way. Even if you think I'm batshit crazy, any white person will glorify something, telling black people is good for them, you should raise an eyebrow for it.
I think the problem is rooting in Margaret
How it
Sanger.
sound, Brian?
Margaret Sanger and in this white woman.
No, Brian, how it sound?
Hey,
As if she's the one who invented abortion care. Margaret Sanger did not invent abortion care.
Didn't say she did.
So, and Margaret Sanger did not introduce
She was a big advocate
the
for it.
having of abortions
I
to
didn't say
black
she did.
women or the black community.
I won't argue
And
that.
Chris,
I think
we sat here silent while
I'm
you
agreeing
talk.
with her.
I
I won't
understand.
agree with you anymore.
I
agree in silence.
Good grief.
I agree with 90% of what she said.
The idea that black women are so dumb,
Never said that.
excuse my ableist
Y'all smarter
language,
than black men.
the idea that black women have so little agency
They're smarter than
as
black men. I
not
agree
to
with that.
have an analysis of what is right for them, so as not to be able to make the decisions that are the right decisions for their families and their situations.
Give me something
That's high
profound.
key insulting, because people have been having abortions
What is wrong with
since
him?
people have been getting pregnant. That's
facts.
the facts of the matter.
That ain't-
And
that ain't
so
what I said.
the decision that a woman makes about what's right for her has more to do, I would think, with her
It's
social.
not about just her.
It is about just her
That's your
because
fallacy.
she's the only one who's pregnant.
No, you don't
So
think
when-
a man cares about that?
I didn't say
you
that.
Don't think
I'm sure that
human has
men.
rights? That's just what we
I'm
do.
sure that men care. My parents
Glad
had
you
me
and
when they
Mama.
were teenagers.
Okay.
And
Glad they didn't think that.
My father.
I think the world's a better
Neither
place
one
because
of
you're
my
here.
parents.
I think the world's a better
Oh
place.
my God.
I think the world's a better place because you're here.
Insulting
I don't
compliments.
understand.
I do. I don't. It's here.
But the thing is that I don't think either one of my parents wanted to abort me, and I'm glad that they didn't.
Me too.
But it was their choice,
I'm
and I know
their
that my
choice.
father loves me. He called me since I've been sitting
I agree
here.
with that.
Like, call firstborn, call your daddy. I'm sure that he cares about me deeply.
Thank God he ain't on Facebook.
But
And I agree with that choice.
it's not.
Thank God.
It's not his. It's not. He
I agree
he
with that
didn't
choice.
carry me.
Right,
That's
did you
not-
put that
I
Ron's
changed that.
comment?
You know, that's not
I
his.
think that's.
I think that's so
I agree with you on the
apropos.
choice
it's not
stuff.
his choice, and
Well, it's
I
to
have
be-
to give you
Love it.
all of those people you named. The world is better for having had them in it, but the fact that the world is better for having had those individuals
We wouldn't have given you a
in
break.
it, that does not account for those kids who are born and they're unloved and unwanted.
There are kids born right now who were wanted and are unloved and unwanted.
So you want more?
I didn't say that.
But that's what would happen.
You might not love them. The person they're having them might not love them. But that does not mean they can't find in other places. Nor should you think you could be the decider or the decision maker on another human's life. If you don't want them, okay. I'm okay with
So
your
I
decision
guess I'm
for
not
that.
clear about like where you stand.
I stand here.
That
I
we're
believe-
murderers. That's where he stands.
I stand here. I believe conception, the human life, begins at conception. That's just where I stand. And I'm okay with your... That's
But
what I'm
do you-
saying.
Are you saying that it is
I'm saying they deserve the
within
same rights as me and
state's
you.
purview?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, but a 3-year-old doesn't have the same rights as me.
But they have a right to be alive, the same right you do.
Based on what? The Constitution?
Go
Because the
kill
last
a
time
three-
I tried...
If you don't believe me, go kill a 3-year-old.
That's
mean,
not what I'm
it's
saying.
a-
What I'm saying is
it's a-
they're saying they have the
that's
same
not even
rights they
It's two
don't.
different conversations,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So
not- that's
there's
not
like
even real.
the Negro spiritual. We all have a right to the tree of life, right? We all have a right to the
The
tree
only
of
reason
life.
that the unborn
And so-
doesn't have a right is because they can't speak and you can't hear
don't have a
them.
voice.
But I would tell you, if you ask them, hey, little unborn human, you want to be alive?
They don't have a brain. They can't think or
They
breathe. They
saying
can't.
you might just be out here living a bad life. I would say, give me my motherfucking chances.
You could say that to a 6-week-old all you want to. They're not going to respond. Why? Because they have
You
no
can
heart,
just-
no
if
brain,
you
no
don't
lungs,
believe
no
that
nothing.
Life begins there. Then
I'm
That's
just
a fundamental
responding to what
That's
you're
a
saying.
fundamental
Fundamental
difference.
difference.
I respect all of that.
All I'm
but
saying
if you
is-
do believe that, then you got to know.
But the question, like,
And
I
respect
think life begins at conception.
Who?
I do.
She does.
I
Yeah, she
think
agrees
life
with
Are
that.
you
begins
okay
at
with just getting rid of them
conception.
lives?
But those lives are not. They can't sustain themselves.
That's your
Separate.
opinion.
It's a
You
fact.
can't take a
outside of
6-week-old outside of a
can't-
mother's womb and
you-
it's going to survive. It's not going to
If
do
I park
happen.
my car in your garage, it's my car. They don't give you a right to burn it the fuck up.
That has nothing to do with
It
what I
does
just said.
actually.
You see what I'm saying?
That literally has nothing to do with what I
Whole
just
different
said.
thing in it.
But
this is not
the-
just-
Literally has nothing to do with what I just said.
the point is that
Yeah.
embryo cannot sustain itself
Absolutely.
outside that woman's
So
body.
what?
So it's
The
up
embryo
to that
couldn't even
woman.
be there without. It couldn't be there by yourself.
It's up
Somebody
to that.
help you.
It's up to that woman to
Even though they
decide
put half in on it.
if she.
You said, hey nigga, fuck your half. It's mine now.
he could take his half back.
You know what?
Lord have
It
mercy.
ain't yours.
Go get his head back.
It ain't yours. It's not yours.
Let
It ain't
move that
his.
embryo. and put
You
it
have
in
your
him.
body.
If I
Because
can
you're not
have that
asking to abort your body. Because if you wanted to abort your body,
But
you'd be
you're
dead.
talking about
What you're
forcing
asking is,
women to
it
do
ain't his
things
body.
with their bodies.
It ain't your body. You saying, look, I just don't want this to be born.
So whose body
Because I want
is
to be
it? Who-
rid of the responsibility.
When a woman is pregnant,
and I don't want
whose
anybody
body
to see
is
me
her body?
That's
having
fine.
that responsibility.
Wait a minute, can I-
I want to get rid of it and pretend it didn't exist.
Can I chime in here?
And
You
you
have
shit
a-
on me for protecting the innocent.
Okay, we got your perspective. We're very, very clear on
Doesn't
that.
sound like
What? Well, if you listen,
I do have a
perhaps
question.
you would
No,
know.
I'd
I'd like the court to
No,
say, I'm
'cause I
sorry,
need to-
Shontelle.
I need to-
That
I
was
need
a
to say
dig. I
this.
apologize, Shontelle.
Because
I'm
You ain't got to talk to the
I know I was wrong for that. Go ahead,
Kris has a
Shontelle.
really simplistic
I love
narrative about
Love black
what
people.
a woman is thinking when she has an abortion.
I don't care what she's thinking when it comes to an innocent life. I care more about the innocent life that
But
speak for
Kris,
themselves.
you have made an entire narrative
I
that
don't
she's
care
over
what
here
the-
like.
I don't care what the
But Kris,
man
either
thinking.
you care or you don't.
I don't care what the man or woman is thinking.
Then what's the narrative for?
I care what the infant
who has no brain and can't think.
I
makes sense.
It's
I
a
don't
human.
understand. Or a fetus.
Do you believe it's human?
What's the
What
question?
the hell?
The
Do
question,
you believe it's human?
the question is,
I don't care about the man or the woman. Let the record show Kris
when
doesn't
a
give
woman
fuck
gets
about the man or the
pregnant,
woman.
who does her body belong to?
Jesus.
Her body belongs to her. Who does the infant's body belong to? Himself or herself?
The
It ain't your body.
It's not
It's
an
just in
infant.
your body.
You're not pregnant with
You
an
can't separate
infant.
the two though.
I can, because it's not them.
But you can't say that, Kris. You
Why?
can't. You can't say that. All right, cool.
You
That's
saying they're one and the same, then
That's
she
your
should die
body,
too.
but you
Then
don't
she
have
should
one.
die
No,
too.
no, no, no,
Then
what I'm
she should die too if they're one and the same.
You cannot tell a host
Ooh, say that.
how to act
At their house.
at their house.
Yeah.
Are you telling
You'll
me
be
they're
like,
one and the
you
same?
know what? It's
What I'm-
time
what I'm-
for you to leave my house.
No, you're right.
And you're going to be like, hell no.
Yeah,
This
right.
your house. I'm staying.
What I'm saying
And I would
is,
tell you,
what I'm
that
saying is
ain't- if
one
you
cannot
believe-
survive without the other.
Those
And
who don't believe in
women
higher
have to-
power, I get it.
Women
And
have
those
to
who don't
bear
believe,
that
like, I
responsibility.
get it. If you don't believe in the Most High,
Well, we're not even. Let's not even.
And
go-
why
let's
you
not
have to
even do
question
that.
people's faith?
Because
Like
you-
nobody's questioning yours.
because
Let's not even do that.
Because we all have faith.
But those
Nobody
who do,
has questioned your faith.
But
But you
those
have
who
all
do-
questioned our
those who do
logic,
think
our
differently than you,
intelligence,
whatever,
and our faith.
whatever
what the Bible
religion you
says
follow,
about drinking Jameson.
whatever religion, you can try to change the subject. I thought they said you were intelligent. You can try to discount a religion if you want,
Kris,
but
I'm so
critical every
religion you follow, ask that leader what him or her thinks, and they will disagree
the
with
same
you.
person
But
who
if you
said
just
if
want to
you want
say,
a loud
if you want to
talk
feel
me-
good
Yes,
about
it
having
was.
your fucking abortion and saying it's okay, do it. Stand on it. But I'm
I already
representing human
have.
life.
I've already have.
You've already stated that. What
All right, that's all I'm doing.
So what the point I think is being made that is, and I hear your point that once you've made the decision
only
to lay
hate 'cause
down
you're a
with
man.
somebody. I'm not doing
So
that.
we gonna be
only hate 'cause you're
misogynist
a
too
man.
on
Once you lay
top of
down-
being a
once you lay
hypocrite.
down
Love
with
it.
somebody-
You cannot be on the side of the unborn, Brian, unless you're a man.
I don't think that's. Stop that.
What kind of dumb fucking logic was that?
That's what I'm hearing from the
Where
other
did you
side.
get him from?
I don't
Where
know.
did you
I
find
wish I
him?
hadn't at this point.
Because I'm one of the smarter
Are
motherfuckers
you
know.
related to Clarence
How
Thomas?
about you lick my... You don't even go there.
No, go
you
there.
insult me again.
Go there so we can really
If
have
you
an
insult me
argument.
again, you gonna lose.
You just said I was unintelligent.
Stop it.
If you insult me again, you gonna lose.
Stop
Chris,
yelling
that's
in the
what
mic.
you just said.
You
I'm
have
unintelligent.
If you insult me again,
Kris,
you
you have
gonna
called.
motherfucking lose.
You gonna
You
call.
gonna lose.
You gonna
All you motherfuckers gonna lose.
stop it.
What
You
you
have
gonna
called.
Right,
do?
if you
What
won't.
you gonna do? What you own do, huh?
I can't
What
just
you
tell you about yourself.
own
and You gonna
do?
go home and feel sad about
What you
yourself.
own do, huh? What you own
It's
do?
fucking crazy. Watch these numbers go up. Now, anyway,
What on earth is going on? Jesus
You
Christ.
remember in Waiting to Exhale?
Hey, Brian, you remember that? You remember that time?
Waiting to
Motherfucker have a
Exhale?
disagreement
no,
for different. You remember
We're
that?
about to go to
You remember that dumb motherfucker in that
hold on,
movie,
wait,
Brian?
don't ask this.
Brian, you remember that
I
dumb
don't-
person
I
in
don't
that
talk
movie?
when we say it.
I need to say this part. You remember in Waiting to Exhale when Layla?
Oh my God! Please don't.
What's her name? When
Please
when
don't. No.
that character she told
You
Troy
remember
to
when
go
Lizzo
home
came out with that shit with her ass open and thought that shit was
picking
cool?
grapefruits off
Man,
the
hey,
table?
that's the best
He
part
was
of the
like,
movie.
"You're
And
right."
when- hey, remember when Lizzo came out looking
I
like
think that was
Prince?
him.
Remember when Lizzo
I think
came
they
out looking
wrote
like
that about
Prince?
Chris.
I don't.
That reminded me of that shit right there.
Chris.
Should
She thought
men?
that shit
I
was
want to
loud.
hear this. Should men have?
No. Me and Leslie answering this question. 'Cause
Should men have an opinion
No.
on abortion?
No, nigga.
No.
No.
We haven't formally.
You a sperm donor,
We
nigga.
haven't
Leslie.
We haven't formally.
She's gonna
asked
politely
the
tell
My
you
ear
no.
hurts.
I want to hear.
Should
She ain't gonna tell you.
should men have an
Shontelle started.
oh my God, should
Hell
men have an
no.
abortion?
Should we have an opinion? It
So,
affects us.
I'm of two minds about this, right?
Okay.
So, if you asked me this 10 years ago, it'd be a hard no. But I realized that men, whether it's on the micro or the macro level, right? Or it's no level, men have some connection to that baby, right? So, should men have an opinion? yes and no.
We can't have a fucking opinion?
I said yes and no.
That don't mean we can tell you what to do.
Almost.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Let me hear.
I think
It's comical.
maybe.
Oh, look, Ephesians 5:18, and be not drunk with
Don't act like
wine,
you love something
wherein
like down.
is excess,
That's it.
but be filled with spirit.
2 Bible
Keep
thumpers,
going.
love it.
I know.
I think men are
Revelations
allowed to have
2:12. Lizzo,
what-
don't wear that shit out in public. It ain't cute.
I think men are allowed to have their feelings. I think their feelings are 1,000% valid.
I said an opinion.
Should
You
they
wanna
have
say
an
that, man?
opinion?
I said
I
opinion.
mean, people have
Limited
people can have an
opinion, yes.
A limited opinion.
A limited
A
opinion.
limited
yes.
opinion.
They can feel how they want. They can feel it's against God.
No.
They can feel like we're
No, you
murderers.
can't. That's right. You
But
can't.
to the opinion, have an opinion to the point where you are
a
structuring
Supreme
laws.
Court opinion. No,
I'm like,
See,
nah.
now you're. That's the
No.
qualification I
you
was
can.
looking
You
for.
like,
can have.
no.
Okay.
You
Like
can,
I'm not in.
That's why I
the
said yes
Supreme
or no.
Court.
Like,
Okay, all right, I'm looking for that qualification.
It's like, I don't have
So you agree
opinions
with that?
about vasectomies and nuts. I don't.
I mean,
I'm sure you do.
I have an opinion, but I wouldn't make a law
Now
for
you got
it.
me in trouble. Now I'm really gonna go in.
That ain't. She in the next room. She can hear you. Go ahead.
No,
She'll
my
curse
wife
you
said,
out later. I ain't
stop
worried.
yelling.
Stop yelling.
Thank you. What's your wife's name again?
She ain't telling you.
Mrs.
Miss
Lee.
Thank
Critic.
you.
Miss Critic.
Thank you.
seriously.
You know what I told her? I said I'm a
Praise Jesus.
I'm a
You
MF
embarrassing
man.
the family.
So you agree
Should
with
men
this?
have an opinion?
And I'm not talking about lawmakers.
I mean, I think
But it's all encompassing.
Hold on,
right?
this is me over here now. I'm
I'm
listening.
talking
Anybody
about in
with
general. Yeah,
thoughts.
your average man.
anybody with
Say yes
thoughts
so we can hug
have
each
an
other.
opinion,
Yeah.
but opinions
Should
are
they-
like assholes.
Should they?
Oh, see what I'm
Question is,
saying?
do they have them?
I was about to come hug you.
Everybody has
Should they
one.
have
They
them?
often
Should-
stink.
say
Not
yes.
do they have them? Should they have them?
Go ahead and say yes
When
so
it
we
comes
can
to
make it
this,
up. If
should
you
they
say
have
yes to this, I take back every negative thing I said. That men should
I
have
would
an
just
opinion.
say no on GP
Oh,
because
Jesus.
I don't want to agree with you because you're offensive.
If you say no, I'm gonna come kiss you in the mouth.
Oh
She said, yeah, man. I'm gonna come. You.
Oh my God.
Let's make up.
If you come kiss me, I'm gonna stab you in the eye.
All
His
right.
wife is in the
Got
next
my
room. He
shake
ain't coming to do
prepared.
shit.
She know I'm trying to make up, but I
I
want.
don't
I want
wanna
to know
make
this
up.
too. I want to know this too. Because we
An
not we
opinion.
like 90% on the same.
Hold on.
page.
Well, I want to hear this.
I mean,
Not a feeling. That can we have. Of course we can. Should we have?
but opinion is a charged word
Okay.
because the
She
Supreme
ain't
Court
gonna listen to you.
opinion
Yeah.
is
Not
what.
lawmakers.
She's
Your
not gonna
average
listen. She ain't gonna
dude. Non-lawmakers.
Say
Oh.
they
Should
should.
I have an opinion
Say they should, but they don't deserve it.
on
Say
abortion?
that.
Should I have an opinion?
Say
When
that.
you say opinion, are we saying like you have an opinion
He
like
wants those men have to
you
say.
shouldn't do it or yes you should
Yeah.
and you just like
That's my
it makes
opinion.
me uncomfortable but
That my opinion is. Chris has an opinion. I have an opinion.
It
Do
doesn't
we have
matter.
any? Should we even have an opinion on this subject, or is it strictly a woman's issue and we should just shut the fuck up?
I would have to say it's the latter.
And I don't
You
have a
should shut
problem
the
with
fuck
that. I don't have a
I
problem
maybe
with
not
that.
shut the fuck up but definitely
Shontelle, I
root.
ain't got a problem with I disagree. Shontelle,
Keep that shit in the man cave.
Shontelle,
I don't. To
I
me,
disagree, but I don't have a problem with it.
Good.
I just disagree.
That's fine.
But I want us to be okay
I don't-
with
we're
disagreeing.
here- we're here.
I got a problem with this.
But it's
You
women
gotta
that
be
feel
okay
that
with
way,
disagreeing.
and
You gotta be
I
okay
know
with
why you
disagreeing.
feel
I'm
that
fine
way.
with it.
alcohol problem.
Now we almost got there.
God
I
damn it, we
can't
got
even
2 minutes
agree
left in the
with
show.
that.
Stop that
I'm about
shit.
to go ape shit again. I can't even be on this.
We
I'm
only
trying
got
to.
three
You know what?
be
She likes
honest.
me upset with her. If I say no, Shontelle, we
You
get
think
along.
y'all gonna
I
get
think
the
she
last
enjoys talking
word?
shit.
It is what it is.
I think
Wait.
she enjoyed
And I'm
talking shit.
okay
I
with
like
that.
that in her.
Chris, I need like 10 more minutes with us because
You got it all.
there's one question I really want us to focus on regarding men because I'm really concerned about how men are really looking at this, right? Because Clarence Thomas has come out.
Yeah.
They've been gunning after
He's a child.
this abortion thing for a minute, but they're also going to come
Which is
after
wrong.
gay marriage, which I know Chris is totally gung ho about.
I didn't say that.
But
I don't. Alphabet people. I'm not against y'all. They shut my shit
But-
down.
Alphabet people.
they're
They
also
will shut
going
my shit
they're
down.
also coming after
I'm gonna drink this so you
contraceptives.
can't.
And
Be gay. Be gay.
so I want to
Queer.
pose this question to the men, right?
Fuck
Thank
that.
you for your permission to be
Are
gay.
you guys
Word.
It was
concerned?
I think it's
Am I
a
concerned
joke.
about what?
What any of this means? What this means for you guys? What this means for
That's why
your
I'm
life?
against
How
it.
this affects
Hold on,
you?
he's against that, and I'm against it. I'm against any government decision on on what
That's not my question though. Are you
concerned?
concerned?
But you evaded his.
I'm trying to understand. What am I concerned about?
How this affects you guys?
The implications,
Yes.
the implications
Of
of
all
a
of
decision
this.
that restricts a right to privacy on
And
other
everything that can
sectors.
snowball because of.
Oh, yeah,
example,
Not
absolutely.
just-
Question.
For
All of it.
example,
Yes, the answer is yes.
surveillance
That's my
through
The answer is
technology.
yes, because
right?
that's why I'm against it.
Because if you don't have the right
That's
to
how everything
privacy,
I said that
Then-
beginning. I'm against it because of that.
you can be surveilled
I don't think-
like these
I
blue
would
light
just like-
cameras, which
Just make no mistake,
disproportionately
I would just
impact
I'm not
black
even
people.
looking at
That's why I
it
guess
through
that's
that
why I'm
lens.
Are we talking about the
That's-
down the road effects? Or
that's
just
not-
strictly this issue?
Leslie,
That's
make no mistake.
not
Leslie,
even
I
the-
wish for the same things you do. I just wish our moral compasses as a people was different. That's it.
But
That's
the
the only thing
moral
I have-
issue and who has
I don't think it
a
should be
right
mandate.
to decide.
I don't like
that's
that.
two different questions.
I don't like that mandate. I don't like it. I think it's a wrong decision. I do.
But I thought we came on here to talk about the mandate and not
Oh yeah, well we're in agreement with
diss
that.
people
Both.
for their
These shows always go
choices.
somewhere
We
else.
talk about both.
Yeah.
But here's
I
what,
think we all agree the mandate is bullshit.
I'm not
Bullshit.
really-
It's
Whatever.
bullshit. You would never hear me say
Yeah,
that.
then the show would be over.
what
Right.
I don't hear men talking about, right? Yes, we've talked about women and it's their bodies, blah blah blah. There's gonna be a huge impact to you guys.
How?
As far as you mean,
There'll be
unwanted
more
births?
babies.
We already paid. Y'all can already get a baby.
It's
You know what
also
I
a
wanna
whole
see?
bunch of deadbeats too.
I want to see when y'all decide to have a baby.
I've already
And y'all
had
leave
one.
It, but no, when y'all leave it at the bus station, they make y'all pay the
That
state
is
for
such
18
a
The
years.
fire
small.
station.
There is such a small percentage of you
I wanna
really
see
like
men get
these
the right to-
really random
No,
outliers.
it's not random. Here's the deal.
But those are
But hold on,
outliers.
Mariama
Those are not
Cozy is
the.
watching.
It's a real.
Mariama, what's up, baby girl?
I love Mariama. That was one of my first questions in 7th grade. We think totally different.
I
things.
knew that.
But look,
I thought that was.
but let me say
Damn, I
this.
thought that was derailed.
But do you,
Mariama, brass
do you
monkey, brass
expect
monkey,
them
you
to
remember that,
kill the
Mariama?
baby or
Look,
leave them at the
no,
firehouse?
here's why I say
That's
that.
the choice.
I was joking, but I don't care about y'all leaving the baby at the fire station. That should be it, because that means the kid will stay alive and the woman won't do nothing dangerous to herself. That's perfectly legit. I was fucking with you. All I'm saying is this. I do think the men should be more involved. And here's why. I see the single mother thing. It's a lot of men's fault, a lot of women. We make bad decisions. I don't think it's working if I look at the outcomes of the kids.
Okay.
Not your kids, but
You're
our
talking
kids.
generally, yes.
So I don't think that's working. In some cases, especially if the man and woman are equally yoked in terms of finances and ability to provide for the child, sometimes the laws were made when women didn't have the rights that they had. Okay, man, you have to pay. Sometimes, honestly, the way some of these kids turn out, not y'all, but it's some women that let their kids smoke. They smoke around them, and their dudes do stuff to them. They get abused. Sometimes, the idiot kid I know who's 16, he ain't gonna let nobody molest his little girl. Sometimes, the court needs to say what's best in this situation and move that kid over here. My opinion is not based on your women's rights or the men's rights. I don't give a fuck if the men got to pay for 40 years. I don't.
But
my
the men
thing
not
is,
paying.
all I'm saying is I'm advocating for those who can't advocate for themselves, and that's it.
But where,
So I was
do
being
you
smart mouth
advocate
with you,
after
and I
they're
apologize for that. But seriously, it's not helping. Whatever's happening now ain't helping us. Our situation is getting worse, and if you can't see that, we different.
Well, when you say our situation is
Black
getting
folk.
worse, can I get the question out?
Let the record say I apologize for interrupting.
When you say things are getting worse,
Right.
what do you mean by that?
Black folk have been poor in the early 1800s, but we band together. Women needed men, and men needed women. It was for different reasons, but they did.
Right.
Kids weren't. When I was a kid, the gangbangers would, if you shot an innocent, you'd be violated.
Okay.
Now, rob an old lady, well, I don't care about ain't no afterlife. I have no moral.
But they put Larry Hoover in jail
Okay,
and took him out from enforcing, and other gang leaders. They took them off the streets in the name of making things safer.
I don't-
Who enforce that kind of
I don't
hierarchy.
speak on stuff like that
Which
because
is
I have
not
people in their life. But
to
I'm
say
I'm
that
tell
I
you,
think that people who commit crimes should not
but
make
now,
restitution for them. But let me make this
I
point.
agree with that. I ain't I have a problem with that.
Because the idea that we are doing worse now,
Yes, we are.
I have to respectfully disagree.
You think
I
you
became
a
a homeowner at 27.
It depends on what you
I was
look
27.
at.
And
Yeah, I guess it
my
depends on
mother
qualifications.
Yeah, you have to look,
and my
talk about what do you mean by
my great
that.
grandmother, she never owned her own home.
You were the exception to the rule.
I'm not the exception to the
You're
rule.
smarter than most of the people in your family.
I'm not
She's
smarter
not.
than most of the people in
I
my
am.
family.
I would tell you.
I'm related to doctors
The average,
and lawyers
the average
and
black person,
PhD chairs of their
the average
departments.
white man, where I work, in any industry I've worked in, he can achieve greatness by being very average. He can look good in a 42 regular suit. He'd be 6'2", and he can do well.
Okay, but we're talking about black people,
Let's
and
say
when
on
you
black
say
people.
that our situation is getting worse.
It is.
I mean, for women,
we never attacked each
our
other at any point in history like
that
this.
is untrue. Our
We've never-
situation as women,
I don't let my mother come in my neighborhood in the city
our
limits and pump
situation
gas.
as women, as black women,
It's horrible.
dramatically improved over time in
It
terms
has.
of what
Your
our
job
options and
opportunity is,
possibilities
your man
are.
opportunity is fucked up.
Oh my God, is that our only value is to have a man?
I didn't
Jesus
say that.
Christ.
He put up with the job.
Your
Jesus
outcome.
Oh my God!
Your outcome.
Oh.
Hold on. Your probability.
My life
Hold
is for
on.
shit
But
because
you
I
know
don't have
what?
If
a
you
man.
had 4 boys, I would tell you,
You-
one of them is going to be incarcerated. Because a third of us are put in jail. So even due to your best efforts, a third of our men are put in jail. Maybe you don't give a fuck. Because you're a
What is
high-performing
he
black
talking
person.
about?
I don't know. He's
I'm a
drunk.
high-performing black person. I got 3 daughters. They all killing the game. My oldest daughter got a law degree, master's degree, Northwestern University, Chicago, all that shit. But I know what it takes. She saw how to act and who to choose.
But you
But a
also
lot of our
realize,
kids don't get that.
But you realize.
But you're trying to
most-
force people to have babies, and
I'm
the
not-
men not going to be around to take care
I'm
of
glad
them.
you said that. I'm not. I'm trying to force people to make better, smarter fucking decisions. I want young men to say, I ain't gonna sleep with nobody who want me a good wife.
Yeah, but you
And
can't-
I want young women to say, I'm gonna keep these motherfucking legs closed
Yeah, but-
till a nigga give me a ring.
Here's the
But
problem.
unfortunately, people think that's unheard of.
No,
That's alien talk.
No, wait a minute.
Because men do it.
Now wait a minute. Here's the problem with
Get
that
with me.
perspective, right? And then we're gonna close this show because clearly
got a
it's
headache.
too much.
Should we close this?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
want to. I want to keep it going
Until
Tylenol.
until
Can we take
The-
a
How
Advil
long we
break?
got?
until the adults of the community actually start looking at how we're training these men, how we indoctrinate
Who's
them.
training these men?
Can I finish? I let you have a whole
You should.
20-minute
Finish.
Hold on, let the
diatribe.
record show that I'm sorry for interrupting you.
And I've said
Yet
this
again, that was
most-
my fault,
I've
Shontelle.
said
I'm
this
sorry.
A lot on this
Shontelle, I'm
podcast.
sorry for interrupting you.
Thank you. We keep teaching these boys that they can fuck whatever they want to, whoever they want to, however they want to, as long as they want to. This is the lesson we teach them. And then we go and tell girls like, oh, no. You can't be a whore. You can't sleep with these boys.
I agree.
Okay, so
So
Who's she
how
said?
can you expect them,
Expect who?
either of them,
I agree so far,
to
Shontelle.
move
Everything you said.
forward and be more
We
responsible?
can't. I agree.
Can
with
I
you.
get my question out?
I'm sorry,
How
Shontelle.
can we
I was
move
excited 'cause
forward
I
and
agree.
expect them to make responsible decisions if you're teaching them polar opposite values? Especially the boys, right?
Don't
You're
answer-
teaching them
don't
to
answer
be
till she says okay
fucking
for you to
whores.
answer.
You're teaching them to sleep with.
Who's teaching you?
Don't answer till you say it's okay to answer, Brian.
I can interrupt the ass. I don't care.
Don't you hear what she told me?
Brian,
okay.
Do not, Brian.
But
Wait.
I can't.
I agree,
I
but
can't
wait.
reconcile for myself if we are going to continue to teach these values.
I agree.
How can you expect them to be responsible?
You can't. I agree with you.
Then
100% agree.
what?
I agree with
then
everything,
you're
like-
saying makes 0
100%
sense.
agree. But who's
No,
teaching
no.
the boys that?
You guys are,
No, I
and
don't
women
think
are. Wait a minute. Let me be
I was just
very
about-
responsible. We as a collective are teaching our
Single
boys.
women have these boys.
Hello, they
Because
didn't
y'all don't want it.
themselves.
Because y'all don't want it. I heard him ask
that
y'all.
part where he
I heard him
was
ask
23,
y'all.
his half
I
fell
heard
down?
Brian Foster ask
that
y'all.
you said that?
Do we have a decision
his half
in
count?
anything? And both of y'all
half
him.
only count
Brian
up to
Foster,
the
who's
point
the
where
most
the baby
honest
is
black
born.
man.
And after that,
In-
these single women.
No, he ain't
fucking
not
up
the black
these
man in the
kids.
room. He's the
Okay.
second most honest black man in the room. Brian Foster asked y'all. Brian Foster asked y'all. Well, do we have a decision? Both of y'all, him and harm.
I
Y'all,
didn't even say it's an opinion.
No,
y'all
I didn't.
jump-
I had to get there.
y'all,
for a
you didn't
second.
want to say yes.
No,
But
I
if he
officially
did
got
have an
like,
opinion,
no, y'all
he would
shouldn't.
tell you. Men gonna do what they see. Girls do what they see. And if a little girl, my girls, I might be an idiot. And half the time I tell my little girl, your daddy crazy. But but look at how you treat your mama.
Simone.
Don't look at what a man says. You look at what he does.
You just preached on this show earlier.
And I'm telling you, when they see that, that's what kids go by.
But don't you realize?
But
your
if you
kids-
were, but
you
a lot
are
of
showing your daughters.
you have a daughter, I have a daughter. We're not in the
Yes.
conversation. For those with men, right? They see how their mom is treated because they gonna love their mama over their daddy and anybody. And if he's treating them like a princess, he's gonna treat women like a princess.
But that's
and
not
if
my
he see,
point.
if he doesn't have a man around,
That's not my
hear me out.
Okay.
If he doesn't have a man around and he sees his mama like this on the phone every other day, motherfucker, you better bring this to. He's gonna think that's how you communicate, or girl too.
So
Wait,
it's
what's-
women's
wait,
fault
so
that
I'm not
men are
saying
whores.
it's not
What's
when
your
it's
point?
men and women's fault.
I'm
I'm
trying to
saying,
understand
no
his
point.
point. What he
I'm
want?
saying all I
Having
want to say,
accountability.
Leslie,
I'm
I'm
is
looking
a
for the
kid
point.
because of
It's-
my girl parent. Everybody
It's
that
all-
was females in my whole
Point.
entire
Say, hold on, fam.
Where the
Be
point?
girl
You goddamn-
and don't do-
Let me check under the table.
all I'm saying
I
is kids
learned
listen
be
to
a
what
male whore
Do
from
you
women.
have the point
kids
right
listen
now?
exactly.
Point
I
at.
definitely
I'm
don't.
just saying.
We
You
ain't
have the
teaching
point.
them that
I
shit.
can't find the point.
So if we as the people
I
was
was
smart,
blind,
Be found.
and I've looked low.
I'm glad you said this.
Okay,
shit.
so
And I
well,
did.
let me
That from
let me
women.
reel this in
Yeah,
and let me
I'm
summate
glad
what
you
Chef
said
said through all that yelling.
Women
Black
talk.
women in the audience, it's all our fault that these men are whores.
Oh, you know what I'm
we
doing.
teach them, we raise them to be whores, we coddle them to be whores.
I don't
so
subscribe
it's
to
just
anything
all of
Shontelle is saying
our
right
fault
now.
as black women, as everything.
I agree with
is.
90% of what Leslie said.
Whore.
Get up to
Like
I agree
being
with-
whore,
I agree with 90% of what
inequities in
I will
relationships.
say,
You wanted me to leave. You needed me to leave. No.
it is your fault. This nigga, he brings shit.
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hello.
It's in his own assault.
Hold on. I pulled away when I saw it was unwarranted. It was not sexual assault.
I told you no
No,
before
I'm
you
glad
came
David's not a
over.
sponsor. God damn.
And
Oh,
this
yeah.
is why abortion need to be
Oh,
legal.
you know what? Now you was assault.
This
You know
shit
what?
right here is why abortion needs
That
to
man
be
might do
legal.
that.
Because
I
I
will-
said out my mouth, no, I don't want to hug you.
I will
Real
say
talk.
this.
I agree.
Anyway.
90% of what you said.
I will
even
say
though
this.
Go
You
for it.
disagree. But
It's
y'all ain't
women's
gonna lie,
fault
Shontelle,
because
we had
y'all
like
keep
79.
randomly giving us pussy.
They can't. They ain't gonna print on no
If
flaw
you
there.
if you would control your vagina better, we'd have less
Or
options.
maybe
They
than we
society
can't.
taught
We put a
them.
gun to their head.
I'm
That's
never
who-
coming
If
back on
society
this.
taught everybody to be responsible with their genitalia, then we'd all be in a better
I just
position.
want to say some ignorant shit because Chris been so crazy.
You just wanted to.
I want to jump
Say
in crazy
something fucking
train, too.
stupid.
You wanted to be stabbed too. You
yeah,
just felt left out
yeah,
because I didn't point the
I
shank
did,
at you.
I did, I
Here.
did.
Do you feel better
Yeah,
now?
I do.
It's
I
in your
do.
direction.
I do.
All right,
I do.
I'm closing this
You made me
motherfucker
feel,
out
you made me feel
because
wanted now.
Oh my god.
I feel like this is the second craziest podcast we've had.
Easily. Easily.
I can't believe you got me on here coming out of character.
Easily. I don't think you had a kid. It was always right there. At the precipice.
It's right there at the
Right
surface.
It's just right there. It's waiting to get pushed.
All right, so
That song was real. Don't push me because I'm close to the
all right.
edge.
Well, since Chris is gone, we're gonna do final thoughts.
Oh,
Chris
okay.
said he's bad, so I bet that's why.
Well, let's talk fast. Let me lock the door.
No, go.
You know there are two doors, right?
Like both these motherfuckers. Don't have him begging on this door.
Leslie,
Let me get back in this.
closing thoughts.
You gotta jump. You know you gotta jump.
What thoughts do we want to leave the audience with now that we have spent the last hour and a half yelling back and forth?
Number one, please do not drink before you come on the podcast. You don't need to have a 1 pineapple juice limit on this show.
Well, in all fairness, he drank before our podcast.
He's been drinking
Just
for-
continue.
He's been drinking for 3 weeks straight. to go to an AA meeting before you come on. But the final thoughts is that, you know, this decision is white supremacy in action. And in action in the active sense, and also in action in the sense that all of this was foreseeable. When people started hollering about Hillary Clinton's emails, then we knew that to make a serious issue out of something so trivial. And Ben Guy, if you unlock that door,
Problem is
That was the best. That was the best.
Oh, you laughing at them. Oh, Brian, he was right here for a long time. I'm about to see you a nasty thing.
I'm sorry.
You went on the show, but I'm gonna send you a nasty.
I don't like you anymore. I thought we was gonna be able to be cool.
There's a key in the door.
Whatever.
You could have introduced her.
Hold on.
He unlocked
And he was too drunk to realize it.
He was like, wait, he was like, is the door locked?
Leslie,
He couldn't see it.
Leslie, I
He
will
could not
come.
see
Leslie,
it.
I will come hug you. Leslie, I will
You gonna come assault me again?
Oh,
on
that's
camera?
assault.
That's assault. Don't
was
touch
the four
me.
of
I
us.
don't like you.
I can't wait till I see you on the street. I'm gonna hug you on accident.
I'm just gonna call the
Open the
police
other
on
door. Open the other
purpose.
door. I don't even know who that is. Open
I
the other
hope
door.
that's your wife.
Baby, let's go.
Hold on.
Hold on,
Fuck
wait.
Brian Fox and his whole crew.
This one doesn't have a key.
Wait, who?
Oh my God.
Here she is.
Thank you.
Come get him.
Don't steal on him.
Come get him.
Hold on.
She's fine.
Don't, hold on.
Come get him.
Don't yell at me in public.
Welcome to
Come get him.
Mrs. Kris the Critic.
She was just
I'm
on
sure
the
she
other
loved
show.
that
It's
name.
her first appearance on In the Zone. She didn't want to be, but here she is.
No, they still going.
We on right now.
We still on.
You just walked right by the
Oh,
camera.
we thought you was coming to get
She
his
said
ass.
it's time to go home.
Hold on. The critic, Mrs. Critic, walked by the house. I ain't stupid. They can think whatever they want, but I'm gonna ride up out of here.
Okay.
We gotta
Love
get some
y'all.
final thoughts. Okay.
No,
You
Let me
can
go
go
first.
first.
Let me go first.
Okay.
Regardless of
What happened to your
the
mic?
show went a little, it fell on the floor because I snapped the fuck off. Anyway, the show. Listen, I agree. Probably 92% of what
That
Nancy
percentage
said.
has changed
I
every
only,
time
I
you
only
say
agree with
Thank you for
80%
saying
of what.
my
It's
name
going up.
correctly.
I only
No,
agree with 80% of what Shontelle said. You and I have a small difference, but it's a big difference we agree on, and I respect that, and I apologize if I fussed out and made brothers look bad and myself look bad. I'm okay with that. Okay, that's what men do. I'm sorry about that, but I will say, Brian, our producer, you sold me out because you was nodding your head to everything I said, and you sold out at the last minute. Foss, thank you for having me on the show. You tried to stick up for us, but they shut you down. The women are
Brian
powerful.
don't agree with you.
And, no. I will tell you this. Somewhere along the lines, and this pains me to say this.
Something
Men are
happens
impulsive creatures.
along the way.
We make
Humans
bad,
are impulsive creatures.
No, men make bad. We will risk it all. We make bad. I value women. I think y'all smarter.
Along the way.
I think we make rash decisions.
As
I do
human
think
beings.
y'all delusional.
And
But-
Also,
both
not
got
the point
shit
of
to work on.
this
go
topic.
home, Chris.
I think you
Go
motherfuckers was
home.
wrong half the time. And we scared to tell y'all.
Please.
Y'all was wrong and we scared to tell y'all.
Right, there
Love
we
you, man.
go.
Give me a kiss on the head.
Come on. There you go.
Yo,
Get
get
him
him
home
this bitch. Oh, yeah.
Get
Bless
him home
you.
safe.
God bless.
Virtual.
Jesus
as,
Christ.
No, just bless you.
I'm gonna get your phone up. I'm gonna get
Bless
it.
you.
She can't keep stuff on her.
No,
with God.
You're not getting me in trouble, Chris.
I'm gonna call you, but I agree with 92% of what she said.
That's
and
okay.
75% of what you said.
My hers is going up, but mine keeps going down.
Well, he
Because
hates you.
she disagreed with me, and we went in, but she made a lot of sense. You was just out here. He asked you. Listen to
We're
what
talking
he asked
about my
you.
friend.
Do men have any?
If you don't get your ass out of here.
Leslie, tell him this. He asked you. Do men have any say?
After
And
Chris
you, him,
is
and
gone.
I had to think about
The
it.
answer's
We
yes.
could be
Yes,
talking
it's easy.
some more.
Thank you. I'm like, that's the problem. At least she can say, you know what, Chris? Okay, all right, you ain't shit.
So damn, I can't think about my answer.
No,
Fuck.
that was. I was
Jesus Christ. All right, bye, Chris.
Leslie, I can't say you, but look. I mean, like both ways.
With the love of Jesus.
The blood of Jesus.
The love of Jesus.
No, go. God,
Plead the
bye.
blood over this
It's
demon.
the first time we've had to kick out a guest.
Stand
That
strong,
is-
bro.
All right. I guess we final thoughts.
I'm judging your guest choices.
Don't look at me.
I really thought this
Judging,
would
I'm
go a
judging.
completely
Don't look at me,
different
me
way.
judging.
It was me. Me and Brian should not pick guests anymore.
Don't,
You
Oh, no.
you
Everybody
picked
gets
me.
one. Everybody gets one. Everybody
This
gets
is
one.
my one, man.
I've been guests for 2 years.
If this
Everybody
were not
gets one.
damn near 40 years of friendship, I would be
No.
like, don't ever call me again.
Who knew?
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that
The
was.
saner heads are here.
But somebody else made a comment on here, Tia, hey girl, that this issue goes back to even Republicans refusing to confirm Obama's Supreme Court pick. This has been a decades-long concerted effort by a minority
No doubt.
to exert a tyranny over the majority. We're in a situation where the majority of people are liberal, the majority of people vote Democratic in presidential elections, but where a minority of thoughts controls the majority of government.
Yeah.
Republicans are in control in state houses and city governments and municipalities.
You know what's
And the split is so close.
Black
in,
women's.
White women's.
In the
Okay, thank God it ain't our fault no more.
I'm gonna go ahead and blame whiteness
And black men.
Whiteness
white
in general.
supremacy,
And black men.
and white men.
No, because y'all were fucking voting for Trump too.
white
Not
men.
the number that fucking white women
White,
were.
Fair.
Not in the number that white men were. I'm gonna just go ahead
Fair,
and blame
nobody
white
did.
men. for
Well,
Trump.
they always.
They always
It's,
number
That's
one.
a
it's
given.
their fault.
Yeah, that's a given.
It's their fault.
Of course,
them.
it's their fault. But,
You know, it's
but I'm
just
tired
so,
of blaming them.
But I don't.
You want
Why?
to spread the wealth?
They started it.
I want to spread the wealth around all white
Spread
people.
And so
I'm just Chris, y'all.
when
I'm
I
sorry
say
white people watch this show.
it's inaction, it was not seeing the writing on the wall when they were in their little back rooms cutting deals and making plans and evilly machinating. I think I just made that word up. They were
Machinating.
machinating. No, they were machinating.
Yeah, machinating.
Because you know, black people
put ing on the back
they
end
could
of
put
anything.
they make
That's
us
right.
part of speech, whatever
That's
part of
right.
speech is clever.
Mhm.
You know, the liberals just kind of were like, oh, stop, guys. Oh, come on. That's not nice. Let's compromise. Don't do that. And now here we are. But it was entirely foreseeable
It was.
and preventable with some.
I couldn't
earlier
believe the
efforts.
shock last week. I was like, y'all didn't see this coming?
I was shocked.
Were you
People-
shocked?
I
How
was
could you
surprised.
not?
Why? Do you live in the world?
Maybe not like shocked and horrified, like, oh my God. But I was like, oh, they actually fucking did that
What?
shit.
Okay.
Let me kick this cat real
In
quick.
all the.
Go, B.
Do you know that white men, the average white person is 56 years old? The average Hispanic person is 11.
Yes, I saw that stat that you posted. Yes.
Right? And that stat does play into that whole decision, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
the browning of America is real.
It's real.
Yeah.
And so the next thing we're going to see is interracial dating. I mean, marriage. That's next. That's coming up.
They not gonna attack.
Yes, they will.
You think?
It's coming.
It just
It's already-
Loving was in the 60s. It's
Yeah.
only 20. It hasn't
If
even
you
been
think Roe
100
versus
years
Wade can
since
go,
Loving.
You think that can't go?
It's
You
only
think gay marriage
I
can't go?
get gay marriage for sure.
Shontelle, it has not been 100 years since interracial marriage was legal.
Yeah.
That's
a huge implication.
In
I'm
our
not saying that
parents'
they
lifetime,
won't.
it wasn't legal.
I will say this: that is huge if they went after interracial relationships. That'd be
Interracial marriage, not
Interracial
relationship.
well.
marriage.
I mean, marriage, relationship, potato, potato. But
I
I
can
mean,
date you forever. We can't
that would
legally
be
have shit
that would
together.
be very interesting.
It
I'd actually
would be a return to how it was
Right,
for
right.
most of time.
Right. What are we?
That would be interesting. Okay.
And you would be surprised by it.
I mean, you want a truthful answer, right?
Yeah.
I would be a little shocked.
You can't have your white man no more. It's too bad.
I
White men
think,
don't like me, so this is just not. This is
What?
movie.
I think this is
Let's go to
kind
Cubby
of the
Bear right now. I bet you I'll
Oh
find
my
you.
God. The liberal naivete
Yes.
that is the reason in some ways that we're in this situation. Of course, like
They would never.
the blame lies with the people who
That made the decision.
who came up with the strategy, who made the plan and carried it
Mhm.
out. But the fact that for the first time in history that I'm aware of, maybe I don't know, in the internet, somebody can fact check me, but that a Supreme Court decision, a draft decision, was leaked in advance.
I think this is. The
And
first
then
time
who thought, like, you thought that was just a joke? They wrote it out. They wrote it. It was drafted well in advance.
Done.
And that's how they do their shit. They have all their court cases. They go through their decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They argue. They write their drafts. And then at the appointed time, they release
Mm-hmm.
decisions day by day until they release all the decisions from their cases. So the idea that what they said is not what they meant.
It's
I mean, and
bullshit.
we're talking about Gorsuch and
all them fuckers,
Amy Coney Barrett and
all of them,
Scalito, like all
All of
of
'em.
like
all of them.
I'm confused about why anybody would be shocked. Like it's just
You can put that up there.
obvious.
Bev, the darkness.
Can you read that? Goddamn, my eyes going bad.
The abortion thing is a diversion from the real issue, and that is that Biden is systematically destroying black neighborhoods with drugs from Mexico and illegal aliens.
Bev need to go to sleep. You need to take a nap. Bev, good night.
Thank you for watching, Bev. I
night.
appreciate your comment.
Have a nice
God
life.
damn! How do we
You
get a
need a
Republican
nap.
in this motherfucker.
Republicans are welcome and their opinions are fine.
Mariama is right. It's solidifying a permanent
Throw that up, D.
struggling economic class. This is about social control and economic power, so that even when white people are older than the rest of the population and there are fewer of them, they can maintain control of social institutions. Like, why else would you appoint a rapist and I can't think
Two
of
rapists.
anything that
Let's
is
not forget
not
Clarence Thomas.
that is remotely Christian to
Didn't
describe
he have a
that.
whole trial
lack of
with,
intelligence? He was
I'm
a
gonna call
sexual
her-
harasser.
I didn't-
Anita
He's a sexual
Steele.
harasser, not a rapist.
Not a rapist, it's two different.
Yeah, it's two different things.
Okay.
but okay.
Hey, baby, your titties is big.
That's
It's way
right.
different
Them
than
bitches
the
grabbing your
That's a
titties.
whole nother
I'm
thing.
just saying.
Hey,
But
baby,
you
I
know,
like your titties and grab your
there's
asses.
there you don't replace Thurgood Marshall, who argued successfully Brown versus the Board of Education, with Clarence Thomas, unless you have a long-term plan, right? And you think about, as black people, we have had those long-term plans. W.E.B. Du Bois is the first black man to get a PhD from Harvard. He says, "The pleasure was all theirs, I assure you." He was a member. He was part of the Niagara movement that became the NAACP, right? So he had this vision of black equality that became the NAACP, and it's the NAACP's legal defense fund that ultimately argued several small cases that led up to Brown versus the Board of Education. So Du Bois wrote The Philadelphia Negro in the same time period as the Plessy versus Ferguson decision. He was a young man in his 30s. And by the time he was an old man, that decision had been overturned. So that is the kind of forethought and foresight and long-term planning that is particular to us as black people, right? Where we start to think about
And we like that.
how to overturn
We distracted by McDonald's.
You know what? That's
decisions
facts.
over
Super facts.
time.
Yeah, facts.
Because you look at Du Bois, right? He's a young man and sees this social ill, which, by the way, the lawyer in the Plessy versus Ferguson case was my cousin, Pia. He was a Martinet. Yep. And just got Homer Plessy exonerated this year because Plessy was convicted of a crime, and that exoneration,
That's right.
Pierre Martinet's descendant had Homer Plessy exonerated earlier this year. But you look at him, it took him 60 years, like almost 60 years. But that's people who had a vision for black equality and over time carried it out. And so when we talk about unity and strength and what we as black people need to do, it is to dream together about what is our vision for black liberation, and then we need to plan and strategize like our ancestors did to carry it out. We didn't get free,
B is over here.
right?
Well,
We didn't.
Honestly, y'all talking dude's language too, but he was just too drunk.
Just drunk.
No, Kris ain't talking about none of this.
That's exactly
I mean, I think that's what he was trying to get
That's what he was
at
trying
in
to
his
get to.
drunken fashion,
That's what he's trying to get to.
right? But then, like that is maybe part of the issue, right? Like, it's difficult to dream about black liberation with people who act like that.
Damn. And I don't think Kris is talking about the liberation of black people. I think what Kris is echoing is more black families, which I don't hate that idea, but I don't think Kris is looking at the long game for all black people to be free. That's not what I hear when he speaks.
I think his vision of what that will take to achieve is just different than yours.
I mean, I think if you look at what Du Bois was writing about, his sociological studies, he's talking about the same issues in a much more scholarly and research fashion than Kris, of course.
It's a little emotional.
The strength. She's talking about the strength of the black family, about marrying age for women, about
We will,
economic
Jatan, we will.
What did you trying to
production.
say?
Put it up there. Put it up there.
Look, I can't see that far anymore.
I can see it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Jatan.
So here's the thing, cuz here's what's funny, cuz she's brilliant.
She is.
We
Thanks.
really didn't think this was gonna. We thought this was a serious topic. We didn't think it would evolve into a fuck show.
No, we
really
honestly
didn't.
didn't.
I knew I was gonna fuck around with a little Burger King,
I'm
McDonald's
saying.
thing, but I thought we was gonna keep it loose. It went left.
And
we're gonna have you on another one. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
course.
All right, your final thoughts, because we are fucking over.
I have so many final thoughts. I think
Unless we about to turn down like to do in the zone after dark.
Oh Jesus, can't do no after zone. No.
Yes, we can. We can do that anytime.
I think this implies something we all should be very, very scared about, right? Scared of the fact that they would overturn something like this, and something that has been a wedge issue for like 50 years, right? The Republicans and the Democrats have utilized this to gain votes for over 50 years. The fact that they will pull the trigger speaks to, even though I hate to go extreme, like interracial relationships or marriage, maybe they will, maybe they won't, but it does have to make us realize that our civil rights, our civil liberties, and even stuff that's identified in the Constitution could be at stake right now.
Absolutely.
And not
you
just for
made me think of
women.
something, which is that Clarence Thomas never said anything
Until now?
until now.
Yeah. So he's been holding that
For
40 years?
That goes back to why they put him on the court
In the first place.
for a time such as this. Okay, please continue.
But I get very disheartened when I'm seeing this conversation had by men. The disconnect that you guys, and I'm using you because you're the only penis person here, you and Gorman, that you guys are really not connected to the impact it'll have on you and your families. This is, while I do think this, one of the strategies is to make white women have more babies, I think more than anything this is about keeping all minorities, including white women, poor. I think that is really the sole goal of this, right? I think part of 2020
put more black men in
and
jail
part
for not paying child support.
was
Follow
to
the
keep making them poor, right?
Follow the money.
I think 2020 and 2021 expedited some of this because we had the millennials abandoning their jobs, and it put them in the position where they had more leverage than the employers. And I think people got fucking scared. And I think they pushed this through hard, and it's just my conspiracy theory, I could be totally wrong, to create circumstances where people have to work and have to stay poor. So I don't think this is the only thing they'll do. I think we have to start looking at contraceptives. I think we have to start it makes me very scared for all of us. And not to be an alarmist, but that is a really long post, Tyann. I see you though. But yeah, I could go on and on, but I'll just stop there. That black men need to be a little bit more concerned for themselves and their community around this. I think black women are, but I think you guys need to really look at what this means for you in the long run.
Strictly the abortion issue.
Because you guys black women aren't the only ones who,
issue.
Not just that, right? If you just take me and my situation, part of why me and that man were able to get the educations we were, to make the money we were, is because we didn't have the obligation of a baby at 19 or 20 years old. That would have made our lives so much different. And not saying we couldn't have been educated,
So
not saying we couldn't have made six figures, but the likelihood would have been really, really small. Because we see the impact of these kids having babies at 14, 15, 16. Most of them do not have the opportunity to advance in their careers.
I mean, 19 is a teenage pregnancy, and the outcomes for teenage parents
so
are
it
poor.
has a huge impact on you guys now that women have this limitation on whether they can have children or not.
Yeah, no doubt.
So not only does it affect you guys paying child support and possibly going to jail, you guys may be limited in your career choices. So it just has a really big impact that we all need to start looking at.
No,
I guess probably be the last thing I'll say.
I'm just going to say to Bev that Compton was all Mexican before, because California was Mexico.
Right.
That's my...
Why are we talking to her?
Because she made a comment. We want to
She
talk
sounds
about
crazy.
Tayenda said something. Jatan said something.
But Bev
I
said something
think
crazy.
Tayenda-
Herb has said something. Lots of people have said something in the comments.
She
I
said
saw Rob.
something
Hey, Rob, how
crazy.
you doing? Toussaint, there you go. Maybe the value of six figures in Western education is the fallacy to begin with, but never mind.
No.
Why never mind?
No, so what he's saying is
I understand what he's saying.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. Then I won't say.
But
never
if
mind.
we're focused on,
Your opinion
if
to
the
yourself.
idea
Did
is for
nobody
us
ask
to
you?
get
Kris, they got
generational
riled up.
wealth,
I'm not trying to-
and I'm gonna argue with him on Friday, so might as well get it popping now. If the idea is for us to build
What's Friday?
something, I'm going on. I said what I said.
Hold the fucking phone.
Yeah.
Hold the fucking phone. I'm sick of motherfuckers inviting you on the show and not invite me. They won't invite me to the secret studio.
You going camping?
Fred, I ain't going nowhere. I'm done being in town. Fred, what the fuck is this bullshit?
That's the studio.
I'm giving Tucson shit. Fred, what's this bullshit? I don't never get invited to the secret studio. I ain't gonna steal no albums.
The subject.
I ain't gonna steal no albums.
He's changing the subject. Don't want to talk about it.
But anyway, I'll argue with Tu about it on Friday. I'm sure he'll bring it up and we can have a good old time arguing about it. But,
Dang.
no, he didn't. Herb did. But that's okay. He also said I was manly.
Watched it earlier too.
And I'm fucking Tu up because he was like, we need feminine energy. And Herb was like, Shontelle's coming on. He said, I meant feminine energy. So I'm fucking him up as soon as the camera starts.
Well, I wasn't about violence. I know. I was about to say y'all started that bullshit when he was here. That's what I was about to say.
Whatever.
God damn.
So I'll fight you.
I think Tiana's
I've been doing some crushes in this motherfucker.
deserves some
Got
attention.
No, that's coming to you too.
Because she said that Clarence Thomas has been drafting dissenting opinions for years, trolling the cases, hoping eventually that minority opinion could be used as support for a majority decision. And I think, that undergirds the thinking that I have that they put him on that court
Specifically for this?
for a time such as this, so that when they could pack the court with other of their people, they could have a Negro face in support of their white nonsense as justification for the white man.
Congratulations, they succeeded. Now what we gonna do?
I just want to say when I sued for fucking assault, everybody out there saw that shit. When we were live streaming, you fucking hit me. Fragile.
I'm deleting it from Facebook.
Niggas on YouTube. It's everywhere. It's out there. Final thoughts. I don't disagree with you at all, Shontelle, about this particular issue being of importance to us all. But I think bigger picture is where it scares me. The slippery slope that this opens the door for is where I'm concerned about that too, but this is like everything that they can come after. I mean, we've been talking about this whole 3/5 land thing and all this, right? We've been kind of talking about it, high it away. Yeah, should we be? We shouldn't be now. If we were then, we shouldn't be now. And I guess that's where
I think y'all need to get y'all cotton picking skills up.
Me and Sally side
shopping.
Nope.
Because that's where they go next.
And what we need to do is we need to have a coalition with these our brown brothers and sisters.
I agree.
Brown brothers and Latino.
All brown people.
All that shit.
Indian,
all that
Korean,
shit.
Whatever. You brown, we all
start fucking taking this shit.
I agree.
Over.
I agree.
Because we all gonna suffer if we don't.
I completely agree.
200%.
Anyway, this was a crazy ass episode. I think you learned some shit. I think you saw some shit that you didn't want to see. I think you heard some shit you didn't want to hear.
I hope you were entertained.
We I guess had to get kicked out. That's the first. We done went about 30 minutes over. But at the end of the day, I think we had a really productive conversation among outside of. I'm gonna say this. Kris asked crazy and was yelling on some bullshit. He raised some points for which we brought him on to raise.
He did?
He did. The reason we brought him on here was to have a dissenting opinion about
true.
About this situation and about he's arguing for the life that can't be argued for. Oh, that's valid.
Yep,
the way he did it was a little crazy, but the opinion I completely let him have. I might not 100% agree with it, but I agree with his right to have it and voice it in a more concise way. But if you pick through the craziness, there was some what we had it for. So Kris,
it was an opinion.
It was an opinion. We will have you back. Maybe.
It's not when I come.
I can promise you that.
Well, we also had our first assault. Our first physical assault. 2.
Well, no.
We had
several.
3. Because I was assaulted twice. And the threats were made multiple times.
Oh, I was counting it all as one big hug.
Oh.
In the court of law, I guess that's how that would fly. Anyway. So here's the other piece I want to end on before we end. Mm-hmm. So we were supposed to be, I'm going to call my brothers out on this shit. We were supposed to be auctioning off Shontelle tonight, and you fucking whores gonna DM me and motherfucking text me on the side about I would, but I could, but all this old bullshit.
I was gonna let y'all live, but
I'm not gonna let you live, you fucking cowards. Get your ass on here, because here's what happened. All these niggas were scared they wasn't gonna get chose, and they don't want to be no losers on it. Nigga, go ahead, shoot your shot.
Y'all could have came in the DMs later, like, yo,
have a good time, enjoy yourself.
It's 7 days in a week.
That's right. I can date everybody. I got time.
Hey, it's hot girl summer.
Not no more. According to 2, not no more.
Well, it's hot girl with a condom.
But I just get what happens to Cardiac B and Megan Thee Stallion in these times. What do they have anything to do with this?
The same money. So anyway, what I'm saying is, next week, if y'all want to see this shit, and I know y'all want to see it because y'all was excited about it, stop being fucking pussies. And I know Shontelle hate that fucking word.
I do.
And
oh my God.
Stop being like strong.
I know. I say that just wrong. Stop being fucking cowards and fucking come on the show and have a good time, man. Come on.
I'm promise you, outside of what 2 thinks, I actually am quite charming.
She is a charming,
I can attest
beautiful, intelligent lady. If you win this date, you might have won the love of your life. Don't be scared.
And I'm a hella fun on the date.
Don't be scared.
I'm not sucking your dick, but we'll still have fun.
Okay.
You just, all right, I can't. Maybe, fuck it fellas, she just fucked. Wait a minute, though. With this abortion shit, though, maybe you'll rethink the sucking dick.
Because they'll keep my wounds safe.
I thought we were going to end on a high note.
That is a high note.
That was a high note for us. Hey, y'all, we'll see you next week. By hook or by crook, we'll have something. Holla back.
Bye.